Good morning, guys. Thanks for joining Digital Olympus event. I'm super excited because we have an amazing speakers lineup, well, actually as usual. And well, my name is Alex, and if you don't know, I'm a founder of Digital Olympus event. And well, actually today we have a banner, and I'm really happy to have it, and hope you love it too. And well, without just spending more time on just my intro, without wasting it, I'm happy to switch to our speakers, and thank you guys for joining us. And our very first speaker will be Tim Soulo. Tim, can you hear me? How are you doing?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm great. How about you?
Oh, very good. Thank you for asking. Are you based right now in Singapore, right?
Yeah, right now I'm in our head office in Singapore, and it's evening here already.
Okay, so it's morning here, evening by your time zone. It's really nice, and we are going to move then to US, where we are going to have here in Europe evening, and they are going to have morning. So are you ready?
Yep, I am.
Okay, so let me make a quick intro, and then you're going to share your slides, and I'm really looking forward to hear your speech. So, thank you. So today, Tim will be talking about how to create content that brings leads and sales, as well as traffic for sure. And I really love this topic because I work a lot with content, and I think it's really important to have not only social shares, but also traffic, leads, and for sure sales. And Tim, he has been involved in digital marketing for over 8 years. That's a lot, actually. And during this time, he had a chance to work with established companies, and launching new niche, and so like experimenting quite a lot. And right now, he is in charge of marketing and product strategy at Ahrefs. So you guys probably have ever heard about this tool, and I love it. This tool provides awesome insights about backlinks, and they have they've recently added data about competitive intelligence, and so about keyword rankings. So thank you very much, Tim, for joining us, and so the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks a lot for inviting me. Let me share my screen. Actually, these slides, can you see them?
Yeah, I can see it perfectly. Can you make it?
I'm making them full screen.
Okay, I'll mute myself, and if you just need anything, just let me know.
Sure. Okay, so how to create content that brings traffic, leads, and sales. Basically, we're going to cover 4 how-tos today. The first one is about content marketing in general. Then we're going to talk a little bit about creating epic content, because I think it is really the key to successful content marketing. Then we're going to talk about the kind of traffic that doesn't fade, about the consistent traffic that you can get every single month. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about how to get leads and sales from your content. Before we start, just a little bit about me. My name is Tim Soulo. I'm head of marketing at Ahrefs. I was born in Ukraine. Here is where my terrible accent is coming from. And right now I live in Singapore, because this is where Ahrefs head office is based. And just in case you want to follow me on Twitter, or just in case you will decide to tweet something interesting from my presentation, I would love it if you could use my Twitter handle. You would totally make my day. Okay, so let's go. How content marketing drives growth. This is probably my favorite internet meme, because this is how I see myself for the bigger part of my career in marketing or content marketing. I was doing tons of stuff. I was super excited about all of it, but I had absolutely no idea of what I was doing, and absolutely no strategy. So basically, I was looking at what other marketers or bloggers were doing, and doing this myself. So they were publishing more often, or suggesting to publish more often. Okay, I will do that. They were writing list ups. Okay, expert roundups. Okay, let's do it. contribute to communities, submit to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Okay, jump off the cliff. Okay, I'll do this. The results there were looking like this, and this is an image that I kind of stole from Rand Fishkin because I really like this image. When you start promoting your article, when you have just published it and you're trying, you hustle a lot to get some eyeballs on it, you get this spike of hope, this little spike of traffic. But then as you stop promoting, stop actively working on promoting your article, this traffic usually fades almost to nothing. So you basically get back to where you started. This is what Rand Fishkin called flat line of nope, and I absolutely love this image once again. So how it looks like in general, how this kind of publishing looks on your blog. So when you invest a little bit of work, you push your blog, your traffic, your website, your business a little bit forward, but then it starts to fade. So you invest more work, but it fades anyway. So you invest even more, but it keeps fading. So basically, this is not even growth. This is not progress. I would rather call it survival, because as soon as you stop actively writing new articles and promoting them, it will fade to nothing, and your traffic and revenue will fade to nothing. So if your efforts don't add up, you're doing it wrong. Think about it for a second. So actually, the left side of this graphic is how most of my career in content marketing looked like. And then I figured something out, and I turned this trend into growth. So this is what we're going to talk about. And I will use our own blog at Ahrefs as an example, because as you can see, in 2014, there was nothing much happening on our blog. No, I mean, we were publishing like 2 articles per week quite consistently, but the traffic wasn't growing, people weren't reading our stuff, and we were wondering, why do we even waste time on our content? But then we changed our strategy, and right now we hardly publish 3 articles per month, usually 2 or sometimes even 1 article per month. But the blog is growing like crazy. It brings a lot of customers to our platform, and we're happy to do more of it and to scale it. And let's zoom into one of the articles to see how the growth happens. So first of all, when you publish an article, you get this spike of hope that I was talking about. When you send the article to your list, where you hustle like crazy to promote it, to get as much eyeballs on it as you can. But then instead of the flat line of nope, instead of fading to nothing, you can see the actual traffic growth. So this article was bringing us more and more traffic each month. And then at the end, we updated and relaunched it, but I will talk a little bit later about this. So we try to achieve this kind of result with every article that we publish. Because think about it. Every article that you write should have a visible impact on your business. Otherwise, it shouldn't be written. And this is a very important thought that kind of changed my entire approach to content marketing. So I will say it again. Every article that you write should have a visible impact on your business. Otherwise, it shouldn't be written. And by impact, I mean it should bring traffic, consistent traffic, which then converts to leads, and which then converts to sales, which grows your business. So, okay, that was the big picture of content marketing and how to turn from surviving to growth. Now let's talk a little bit about epic content. And I know what you're thinking, because create great content advice is so overused that literally some people want to vomit when they hear it. But please allow me to explain what I mean, because I think creating epic content is the most important part in content marketing. Why? Because epic content promotes itself. Let me give you a few examples, again, using content from our own blog. So someone posted one of our articles to Reddit, and if you're familiar with Reddit, it is a pretty harsh community. They're usually very skeptical about whatever get posted there. They like to criticize it or make fun of it. But what I saw is that a lot of people have jumped in to this thread, and they were posting like raving comments saying that they love content that we publish at Ahrefs blog, that it is awesome and all that stuff. Well, think about it. There's no way that random people would rave about your content unless it is epic. So this is how it kind of promotes itself. And we got a ton of new readers from Reddit. And this was totally like zero effort from our side. So we didn't have to ask our friends to go and post reviews on Reddit and upvotes and all that stuff. So it was totally natural. People just love it. Here's the second example. You probably know this popular website, Growth Hackers, where some people share their favorite articles and others upvote them to the top. So basically, this is one of articles from our blog that got 38 upvotes, which got it to the very first position of the chart. And again, out of these 38 upvotes, there wasn't a single upvote coming from NHREF's employee. In fact, as you can see, it was posted by Veronica Fiskus, and I don't even know who is she. So I don't have any direct contact with Veronica. So probably it was one of our readers who posted our post to Growth Hackers, and other people loved it and voted it. So basically, in order to get a lot of traffic from Growth Hackers, we didn't have to do anything but publish a great article. So this is what I'm talking about. And finally, if you publish epic content, if you create epic content, even your competitors will promote you. So I'm sure many of you know about Moz, and you know that they have the newsletter called Moz Top 10, where they collect best 10 articles in the space of content, in the space of marketing and SEO, and send an email newsletter. And they included one of our articles. So think about it. We're kind of direct competitors, and they still promote our content. But that's because we published a cool article. They enjoyed it, and they just included it in their newsletter because it was cool. Again, think about it. If the content wasn't epic, your competitors wouldn't ever think of even like including a mention of it anywhere on their site. Let alone sending it to their entire email list. So again, epic content promotes itself. And actually, I can reframe this statement and look at it from a different angle. Non-epic content is 100 times harder to promote, because if your article is nothing special, or even if your article is terrible, it would be super hard to make people upvote it on all these sites. It would be super hard to make people tweet it, because why would people tweet a terrible article? So this is why creating epic content is important. And I'm sure many of you have heard of this 80-20 rule of promoting and creating content, where you kind of have to spend 20% of your time creating content and then spend 80% of your time promoting it. Well, I think this rule is total BS. That's because there's no way to create an epic piece of content in 20% of the time. And then when you have this kind of mediocre article, no matter how much you promote it, the outcome would be pretty small, not to say miserable. So I believe it should, the rule should actually be 110 to 110. I mean, you should go an extra mile in creating an amazing piece of content, and then you should again go an extra mile in promoting the hell of it. Now let's talk a little bit about how we create epic content at Ahrefs. So on the right side, on the left side of my slide, you see the screenshot of one of our articles written by David McSweeney. And on the right side, you see like part of our email correspondence, where we were discussing this article pretty much from the very idea and almost to the last minute before publishing it, because we wanted to make sure that this article would be the best piece of content, the most valuable piece of information that people in our industry have ever read about this subject. So I mean, epic content requires a team effort. Don't just give your writer an assignment and walk away. You should, if you have something to say, you have to participate. And if you have someone on your team that can contribute some interesting ideas to your article, you have to ask them for help. And the more people you ask for help, the better your article would be. So yeah, epic content is a team effort. Here's another example. A post on our blog titled, "I asked 235 people to tweet my article, and all I got is this cheerless case study." So think about it. To write this article, we have to first find 235 people, relevant people, then find their content information, then write personal emails to all these people, then collect some results, and only then write an article. So basically, writing the article is like, I don't know, maybe it took us 5 hours or something, but there was a ton of work on the background. Like, I think we invested 20 more hours to create this whole experiment. So this is the kind of work we invest into our content, and this is what means creating epic content and going an extra mile in it. And the results of this article, when we published it on inbound.org, again, we didn't have to ask like all members of our team for some upvotes, but the article naturally got to the top of inbound.org and stayed there at the top for 5 days. So basically, this is how easy it is to promote content when it is epic. When your content is nothing special, it will never get upvoted to the front page. And I'm sure if you have submitted your content to inbound.org, you know how many posts fall flat and don't get to the front page. So hard work is the foundation of epic content. I think with a few examples that I showed you, you get to understand how much work it is to create an epic piece of content. But also don't forget about all the basics. Your writing has to be great, your headline has to be great, you have to use visuals, you have to format it good, and all these other little details, all of which contribute to your success and all of which make your epic article even more epic. Okay, so now you know a little bit more about creating epic content that promotes itself. Now let's talk about the kind of traffic that doesn't fade. Let's go back to my example of articles. So first, there was a spike of hope where you publish an article and you promote it to your email list, you publish it on your social channels, you go submit it somewhere and use pretty much any content promotion tactic in the book, so you get an influx of traffic. But then the traffic usually fades, but in our case it didn't, and actually it was growing bigger from month to month. So where is this traffic coming from? Of course, it is coming from Google. As you can see, this article ranks number 3 for the keyword research. And as you can see on the graph, it took us quite a while to get there, because ranking in Google takes time. But not only that, these same articles ranks in top 5 in Google for quite a few other relevant keywords. So all of which are bringing more and more traffic to our website month after month. So this is the consistent traffic where we don't really have to do anything. It just keeps coming to our site, and people are trying our service and becoming our customers. So Google traffic is kind of the only source of traffic that doesn't fade. But of course, you first need to invest quite a lot of effort to get to the front page and to stay there so that to get this consistent traffic. So how to create the kind of content that will get traffic from Google? How do you know upfront if your content is going to get tons of traffic from Google search or not? Of course, you do your research. This is the best way to make sure that your content will bring you tons of traffic. And I have a few pieces of advice for you. So the first one is you can research the best pages of your competition. And for that, you can use our service called Ahrefs. So basically on my screenshot, I entered the HubSpot blog, which is another great blog for marketing. And I'm looking at the top pages, at the pages that bring them the most traffic from Google search. And as you can see, the number 1 page that gets them the most traffic is how to create animated GIF quick tip. And according to Ahrefs, which usually actually underestimates traffic, this single article is bringing them almost 60,000 visitors from Google search. So these are highly relevant people. They're looking for this specific article, and I'm sure many people don't get 60,000 visits to their blog like in a month, but these guys are getting this kind of traffic with a single article. And this is pretty impressive, actually. This little koala shows what I feel about this article. Then there's another way to research if a piece of content will bring you traffic. So in Ahrefs Keyword Explorer, when you're doing keyword research, we have a report called SERP Overview, which shows you the top ranking pages in search results and gives you all sorts of information about these pages. So this is the SERP Overview, top 5 ranking pages for the keyword website traffic. And I see one impressive piece of content there. It's an article titled 10 Little Known Ways to See How Much Traffic a Website Gets. And according to Ahrefs data, this article brings almost 6,000 visitors every single month. And article titled 10 Little Known Ways to See How Much Traffic a Website Gets doesn't seem something too hard to outperform. I'm sure we can do a better article on the same topic. And actually, this article is almost ready, and we're soon going to publish it in a hope to get, if not all of this search traffic, but at least some of it. Okay, so you know how to plan for search traffic potential, how to know upfront if a certain topic, a certain article will get you some nice traffic from Google, and you know that you have to create an epic post. What's the last part of the equation? Of course, this is promotion. You have to get your article in front of as many eyeballs as you possibly can, because the more people will see your article, the higher the chance that some of them will link to it. And links is what pushes you higher in Google search results. So if you want to rank high in Google, you need more links. And if you need more links, you have to put your content in front of as many people as you can. So in terms of promotion, I just say do whatever works for you. If you have a large email list, of course, you will want to send an email update to your list and show them your article. If you have push notifications, use them. If you have large social following, promote your article to your social following. Community websites, guest blogging, interviews, whatever. Whatever works for you, whatever brings more eyeballs to your content, use this. But if speaking about ourselves, about how we approach content promotion at Ahrefs, we love to do outreach. Outreach is sending personal emails to people who are potentially interested to read the content that you have. And actually, I could talk about outreach all day, but I wrote 2 pretty nice articles on the Ahrefs blog. You can see them on my screen, and I suggest you to make a screenshot to find them later. This is how we do outreach at Ahrefs. I highly recommend you to check it out, and maybe later tweet me your thoughts about it. And the second content promotion strategy that we love here at Ahrefs is Facebook ads. Of course, it requires some money investment, but if you're talking about building a business, you have to invest some money if you want to grow your business. And in my opinion, Facebook ads, it's a pretty great investment because you can drive traffic to your website, to your content, which is pretty cheap. And it's up to you. If you want to spend a week on different free content promotion methods, which will bring you like 1,000 visitors, this is your choice. But if you can invest $100 that will bring you the same 1,000 visitors, maybe it would be easier to just spend $100 and then use all your time to create something epic. Okay, but there's a problem. Most people only promote new content, so they only promote the newly published articles. Why is that? They think that old articles don't deserve to be promoted because they are usually outdated. So you don't want to put your money and put your time in the article that is talking about things that are not relevant today. But if your content, if your article is updated, all you have to do is update it. What's the problem? And we're going back to my example of an article about keyword research that we have published. So you can see that when the article was initially published, that spike of traffic from our promotion was quite solid, but not too big. But if you look at the other side of the screen, this is the spike of traffic from when we updated and re-promoted this article again, and you can see that the second spike of traffic is even bigger. So actually, by saying update, in this particular case, I had to rewrite the article from scratch to ensure this is a piece of epic content that we already talked about. I basically created a totally new article, but with the same URL and for the same topic. and we re-promoted it to our list, to our audience, and with every promotion tactic that we use. But in your case, sometimes your article could be quite good. It would be awesome already. So you might just go through it, find a few little things that are not relevant today, delete them or change them to something else, and your article is ready to be re-promoted again. Because think about it, even if 100,000 people have seen your article, there's an entire world of people who haven't yet seen it. So basically you can promote your articles, your older articles, almost indefinitely. So after knowing all this, are you sure you need to publish more articles on your blog or on your site? Maybe you can just go back, see which articles performed the best, update them to make them even better, to make them epic, and re-promote them again, because you know that they're good, that they worked for you in the past. Why cannot they work for you today? And I'm sure many of you know this guy, Brian Dean from backlinko.com. This guy is the great example that you don't need to publish a lot of content. You just need to make the content that you have epic and amazing. He has like, I think 40 articles on his blog, or maybe even, I don't know, 30 something. And his blog is a 7-figure business today. So basically, Brian Dean is doing the things that I was just talking about, and it works for him like a charm. Okay, so we're getting to the last section of my presentation, how to get leads and sales. And I will be pretty quick here. I have only 2 simple tips for you. The first one is that you should target the right keywords. So let's get back to the content that brings the most search traffic to HubSpot marketing blog. And as you see, most of their articles are not really relevant to marketing, because how to make graph in Excel, how to make a GIF in Photoshop, remove background from image. I can't think how I would convert a person looking for how to make a GIF in Photoshop into a complex marketing software, which is HubSpot or maybe Ahrefs or maybe any other software in marketing space. Then you see that they have another article, how to write a blog. And this is the kind of topic where I could include a mention of our services, of Ahrefs, and how it helps you to create great content, and how it helps you to write a blog and send it to space. So basically, you have to think of which keywords are right for you, right for your business, which keywords are the closest, are the most relevant to what you do, and where you can include your product, your service, or whatever it is you're offering into the article. Speaking of which, the second tip to creating the content that will drive leads and sales is to actually mention your product, your offering, or whatever it is you're selling in your content. Because here's an example. I have found an old article at Ahrefs blog, which seems to get more and more search traffic each month. So the traffic to this article is growing, but there's not a single mention of Ahrefs in this article. So we're already updating it to include a mention of Ahrefs, because we can see how we could mention and make it relevant to the readers of our article and make people interested in our service and check it out. And by saying mention whatever you have, I mean educate your readers on it. Show them how it helps them. Use screenshots, use video tutorials. Your job is to explain what your tool does and how readers will benefit from using it. Because think about it, people won't pay for your product unless they have a good understanding of how to use it and what results they can get. Again, I will read it again. People won't pay for your product unless they have a good understanding of how to use it and what results they can get. And your content marketing is probably the best way to explain people what your software does, how to use it, and the kind of results you can get. And actually, if you look at this very presentation, it is a piece of content marketing, and I included quite a few mentions of our service, of Ahrefs, and I explained how to use it. So this is how your content will convert readers or consumers of your content into customers. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you want to follow me or my work, I am present on all sorts of social networks, Twitter, Facebook. and all that stuff. And if you want to drop me a message, there's my email too. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.
That everyone can use, really actionable. Thank you very much. I found a couple of hacks that I love to try. So hopefully you can stay with us till Q&A session, because we have a couple of questions to you. And we are ready to move to our next speaker, and I have a pleasure to introduce Stevie Rayson, and he's going to talk about identifying the best content formats for your industry. And Stevie is a director and also co-owner of BuzzSumo, a really great tool. We've recently had a chat with Stevie before an event, and I can't live without that tool. That's an incredible tool. And Stevie has also recently set up Underspin. That's another one too, and that's a new app for keeping professional teams updated and continually learning. So Underspin, and I'll share a link in the chat with you guys. And so Steve is really passionate about marketing, data, and learning, and I'm sure if you haven't had a chance to check Stevie researchers, you should go to BuzzSumo's blog and check them, because they're really, really good. So Stevie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thanks very much for that introduction.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself, and I see your slides perfectly, and so if you need anything, just let me know.
Great, thanks Alex, and thanks Tim for that first session. I agree with most of those points there on creating epic content. I'm always jealous of people who can create blog posts in 5 minutes or 5 hours, when it takes me weeks to write and research a blog post, but it's well worth doing the extra work, I think. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about just identifying the best content formats for your industry, because you can't apply the same techniques in every industry, as I'll show you. But just by way of background, yes, I'm one of the directors at BuzzSumo. We're a small team running BuzzSumo. If you have any questions afterwards, just email me or tweet me anything you want to know. I'll do my best to get back to you on that. And if you haven't used BuzzSumo, we're basically a data tool. We collect data and we try to provide insights that will allow you to improve your content, really. So whether it's about trending topics today, as the screen shows, or just most shared, most linked content, you have a play with it, and there's a free version to play with. So just a bit of background about me and BuzzSumo. But primarily, what we're going to talk about today is about effective content. What's effective content? And Tim talked a lot there about the importance of epic content and content that doesn't fade. I think effective content really depends on your objectives and what stage of the funnel you're aiming at. So is it about awareness? Is it about gaining links? Is it about conversions? Different content performs well in different contexts, but also content performs depending upon your industry and your audience. And that's what I want to talk about today, which is what's effective in your industry and your audience. And it's a subject that I've been interested in for a while. And so we're actually doing a fairly major industry study with LinkedIn. The results will be available later this year. So I'm going to give you a sneak preview of some of the initial research findings. So hopefully they won't mind me sharing some of these points. But we've really just been looking at the most shared and linked content, but across very different industries, to see what works and what we can learn, what sort of insights we gain from looking at that. So as I say, the full report will be out later in the year, but I'm just going to give you a sneak preview of some of the findings from what we've done so far. So in any content, you've got different elements to a particular piece of content. You've got the topic that it's about. It might be a celebrity, it might be a company, it might be an in vogue topic such as machine learning or self-driving cars. Then you've got the sort of type of content. So it could be news about self-driving cars, it could be research, it could be an opinion about how it's going to change cities or how to build a self-driving car. And then you've got different formats. You could do that through an infographic, through a case study, through a guide. So you've got lots of different elements that make up content, and which we're all aware of. And you can mix these up: how to get started with AI, a news story about AI, an opinion about AI, an infographic, etc. So we've got lots of different elements in content. And what we've been researching is, do different formats work well in different industries. So is it particular types of topics or formats, etc.? So what works in the different industries? And particularly importantly, do things not work in industries? Because you need to know that as well. So the key question is what resonates with your audience, not works as a generality, because no one size fits all. If you're writing in health or technology or education, different type of content resonates because you're talking to a different audience, and there is no one size fits all. So the really key thing, and Tim mentioned it, is you have to do research. You need to understand your audience, and there's also elements about what stage of the funnel you're at, but I can't cover that today. So what's resonating with your audience? If you're in marketing, we all know this. We've all studied marketing posts. These are the sorts of things that resonate if you're writing articles about SEO or marketing. Really, I mean, they tend to be practical posts. They tend to be sort of how-to, ways to. They're often structured as a list format. And if you want to get shares in the marketing SEO world and get a bit of traffic through that, these sorts of posts work quite well. And we all know this. So this is not rocket science. We know this. But what's interesting is if you took that approach and tried to apply it to another industry, because if you're in health or technology or higher education, actually how-to posts perform significantly below average. I mean, significantly below average. List posts in those industries also perform significantly below average. The people in those industries, a list post with a title like those marketing ones doesn't resonate with that audience in the same way. In fact, they may objectively dislike some of that. So you cannot take what works in marketing and apply it to health. It just doesn't work. And some people think it does work, and I think that's where you have problems. You do need to understand what works for your audience. So if you're in health, these are the sorts of posts that tend to get shares. They tend to be news posts about breakthroughs. So a breakthrough about a vaccine, a new development of an inhaler, an advance in breast cancer. They're news posts about health breakthroughs. These are the sorts of posts that get lots of shares in the health sector. Interestingly, as you can see there from the right-hand side, these news posts get very few links. And if you wanted links in these industries, you would look at a different type of post. So these are sort of research posts, these are reference posts, information on essential health benefits, etc. And we can see that these are gaining large numbers of links. And the number of links here, this is just our data, just shows you the number of links from unique domains here. So you can't apply what works in marketing to health, and content that gets shares in health, you can't apply that expecting to get links. You need different types of content to achieve different objectives. And that's really quite important in your content strategy, is to understand that. Another thing we found in this initial research we're doing with LinkedIn is about the power of topics. In some industries, the topic is more powerful than anything else. It actually doesn't matter what format, whether it's a list post or an infographic. If you hit the right topic, you can perform above average sometimes. The topic is just so powerful. In other industries, actually, the format matters potentially sometimes more than the topic. And here are just some examples, really. Donald Trump, in almost any area, financial services, news, etc., Donald Trump is one of these powerful topics and has been for the last 6 months or so. In health, it's breakthroughs, as I mentioned. In technology, anything about major security breaches, data hacks, that topic performs incredibly well in the technology industry, because obviously it's a concern for people in that industry. If you're in marketing or if you're in financial news, actually some companies are celebrities. Apple, Uber, Google. You can write about Google's doing this, how Apple's applying artificial intelligence, how Uber's applying artificial intelligence. Those articles tend to resonate quite well. And then you have to find, and this is really important in terms of your research, the trending topics, the in vogue topics for your industry. So for lots of industries, it was artificial intelligence, machine learning, but it varies year by year. It varies every 6 months. You need to find the trending topics, because in some cases, the topic is more powerful than anything else, almost more powerful than your content. Just choosing the right topic is important. I gave the example of Donald Trump. We looked, for example, at the 10,000 most shared articles from financial sites in the first quarter this year. 10% of them mentioned Trump. 10% of them. So I know he's having an impact on the world, but 10% is really high. What was also interesting is that the average for articles about Trump was twice as high in terms of shares as for other articles in financial services. So he's a powerful topic. Obviously, he's controversial. It's potentially divisive, etc. But it's a topic which has impact in that sector at the moment. The other thing is that in some industries, what we're finding is very unique post types which work in that industry, which don't appear to work so well in other industries. So here's just an example in health. This top one, what you need to know about breakthroughs in blood cancer treatments. It seems to be, from our research, that things about what you need to know works particularly well in health. It works in some other industries, but not as well. But in health, it seems to work particularly well. So I've done some other examples here. What you need to know about joint noises, snap, crackle, pop. What you need to know about mumps, lung cancer, what you need to know about dementia. It seems to be that some industries have specific post types that resonate with that particular audience. And so, again, it's about research and understanding what that is in your particular area and your particular industry. And it's not the same across all industries. The other thing to understand, and I'm sure we all understand this, is that shares do not equal links. So a post that gets well shared will not necessarily get lots of links. And so just some examples here. I've just taken some examples from the technology industry. We can see they're all fairly well shared, but the number of links doesn't match the number of shares. In fact, the second one down's got masses of shares, very few links. The bottom one actually has got lots of links because it's about research and trends. And we tend to find that that works quite well. But so you can't expect shares to equal links. So if you're after awareness content that wants lots of shares, you might be after a different type of content than one that's going to gain you a lot of links for your content. And it's primarily because people share and link for different reasons. Research, though, that last one there, those Gartner trends, this is a really powerful one. And we tend to find this is one of the few ones that tends to work across all industries. Research into trends in the future, people are interested in, whether it's in health or technology or marketing. So it tends to be powerful in all industries. It tends to be content that unusually gains both links and shares. So a Gartner report on trends would tend to get both. So it's quite unusual as a form of content in getting both. So if you're going to invest time in producing epic content, I think Tim was right about that, then actually investing time in research is quite important. It can take quite a lot of time, but it tends to be really powerful content format that works across industries and that also gets both links and shares. So that's one of the very few ones that seems to work across industries. So if we look at then how content is shared across industry, you can probably guess these, but I'll show you. So we just took the top 10,000 most shared posts for the last year, and we looked at the median shares. We looked at median, the 50% mark, rather than averages, because averages get skewed by really big outlying posts that might get 1 million shares, for example. So in simple terms, if we look at marketing, median shares were highest on Twitter. Actually, LinkedIn is catching up very fast there. LinkedIn seems to be growing a lot in the marketing space, and Twitter seems to be dying a bit. But at the moment, we had more median shares on Twitter. When we look at technology, we had a different picture. We found that the most median shares are actually taking place on LinkedIn, and we are seeing people share more and more content around LinkedIn. Health, we get quite a different picture. Health content, particularly health news, tends to be on Facebook. And we find the same for higher education and travel. Travel, particularly Facebook, whether it's places you should visit, travel tips and guides, and no surprisingly, very few shares on LinkedIn. So you're not going to really heavily promote your travel content on LinkedIn, except maybe some business travel. Financial services was industry. Financial services, interesting, a lot of news articles, which is why Facebook was high, but LinkedIn and Twitter both high for those relatively. Education management was mainly Facebook. And when we go back to legal services industry, it's LinkedIn. So we've looked at a lot more industries, but this is just giving you a flavor that you need to understand, not just what resonates with your audience, but where do they hang out? Where do you best engage with that particular audience? And it can vary across those different networks. So we need to understand that as well. And this is just sharing, some of the data, which is probably not too surprising to many of you, I think. And the future is not what it was. Things keep changing all the time. So we are seeing a decline in Twitter sharing, which is interesting. We are seeing increases in LinkedIn sharing, and we're seeing more B2B content get shared on Facebook as well. And you need to keep track of that. And just to sort of finally, before I finish up, is that a reminder about blog posts are not the same as Facebook posts, because some people try and treat them the same, but obviously they're quite distinct. And when we looked at Facebook posts, we looked at 1 billion of those posts, and actually the things that get engagement, questions get more engagement than anything else in our study of Facebook posts, but also images and videos, much, much higher. Sharing links, less so. And here are just some examples of the sorts of posts that are question posts that get engagement. These just happen to be about Halloween, but they could be about anything. So that's just a very quick run through and sharing of our research that we've been doing with LinkedIn on the content that works in different industries, and happy to answer any questions that you guys have after the event. But thank you very much for listening.
Awesome insights about Facebook, and I do agree that Facebook also, just from my personal experience, especially if we talk about B2B market, it requires not the same approach that you do when it comes to blog posts. So I do agree with you here, and that's what I've found from my personal experience, so from trial and error period that I've come from. And I believe we are ready to switch to our last speaker in this section. And hi David, how are you doing?
I'm doing lovely, thanks.
Where are you based? It's London?
In lovely London. It's kind of cold and miserable again. I've got 2 heaters on in the room and I don't think they're really working. Yes, so I'm currently in my home. I'm not in the office because obviously there's a lot of noise in the office, so I thought I'd pick a nice quiet location, and yes.
Lovely. So let me introduce you, and then you're going to tell us about how to measure content marketing, because I think it's perfectly wrap up everything, because Tim was talking about how you can create really engaging content and how you can just set up actionable techniques, and Steve was talking about Facebook and also some kind of researching analytical approach, I would say, to generating content, and you'll tell how you need to measure it. And so right now David, he's a part of Blue Glass, so he works at this well-known agency, but before that he was working with eBay, and he was a part of a classified group, and he was a product manager for 3 years. And so David developed a strong interest in different areas, also covering app indexing and everything related to mobile, yeah? Okay, awesome. And so today he's going to talk about content performance and how you can measure it.
Cool. Okay, so share screen. Is that working?
Yeah, awesome.
So I do apologise for a bit of a cough. I've had this for 5 or 6 weeks. Yeah. It's the wonders of living in London. So yeah, good morning everyone. My name is David. I'm the Director of Strategy at Blue Glass London. And this is a slightly updated presentation on what I did at SEO Campus in Paris. Basically, how to measure the content marketing is one of the biggest questions we get from our clients, because they're spending money and they want to know how it compares against other marketing channels. So I'll try and walk you through some of the areas or insights where I feel that people can be measuring it better. So yeah, a bit of basic background behind me. I'm obviously an Australian based on the accent. I've been doing SEO for about 10 years with I guess a heavy focus around analytics through that time, because I've always wanted to be able to measure the impact of SEO, and I know measuring content marketing is tough. A quick plug for the agency. So we were announced as the Drum 2016 Content Marketing Agency of the Year, and we've won 5 search awards within Europe and the UK. So we've got a fairly experienced team, and we focus on SEO and content. So this is the main, I guess, topics which will be covered in my presentation. along with a reference in terms of which particular tool. So a lot of my presentation, we focus around insights you can get from Majestic, BuzzSumo, Coverage Book, Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and SEO Monitor. Sadly, no reference to Hrefs, but there are a lot of people who find Hrefs are a suitable platform. So basically, I would say use whichever platform you have access to. And yeah, it's best to use something than nothing. So one of the first things I want to touch off on this presentation is some of the bad ways which I think people are trying to measure content marketing. So content marketing is a very complex beast, but there's a lot of bad things you can do when it comes to measuring it. So as been discussed previously, basically there should be a reason you're producing the content, but you need to focus on the right aspects when it comes to your content marketing. So if you're focusing content marketing purely on the amount of links built, this opens you up to manipulation because there's various ways people can duplicate sites. There's various ways people can acquire links. And also, if you're targeting your content marketing purely on, we need 10 links for this particular piece, you're potentially limiting your ability to build more links. So yeah, when you're doing these content marketing projects, be careful how strongly you enforce the maximum because you don't want to hold great content back. Also, measuring links without considering trust flow or citation flow or domain authority if you use Moz. Because basically, if you're not measuring these types of things, I see your content marketing campaign will end in tears. And again, it's been highlighted a couple of times in this presentation. Basically, if you're creating content purely for sake of content, there should be some concern about your rationale. Also, the other one, set expectations of what you want at the end. Do you want to have a site that's 100 articles? Do you want to have a site that has a guide on everything to see and do in London? Do you want to have, every single industry covered in how-to guides? So basically, set some expectations about what you want at the end, and are you doing the content? Are you doing the content marketing to hit KPIs, to fill up content within your platform, to get shares or build links, or help your users through the buying process, which is the ideal answer. Measurement is key. So basically, it's the first thing when you start a content marketing campaign, you want to set some baselines. So it should be possible to calculate ROI on all content you're producing, whether that's an average page view, an average visit to your site. There should be some basic attribution modeling done so you can understand if you're adding an extra 10 articles to your site, how much traffic or how much extra business that should generate. Basically, I see more and more this year, there's going to be increased focus on making sure marketers are accountable to money they've spent. So last couple of years, going to your marketing manager saying, look, we need 100,000 pages, not a problem. But basically, I see that type of thing maybe coming towards the end, because unless you have an objective for creating this content and you have some type of expectation once you've completed the content, you're going to start to struggle, because basically you'll be starting to fight more and more with PPC for budget. So when you're trying to get budget away from the PPC team or trying to steal budget back from you, remember they've got attribution modeling, they've got search funnel data, they've got a whole lot of tools at disposal. And this is why it's important to measure as much as possible around your content marketing, because you're fighting with very structured analytical minds that want that budget. Also, learn what impacts your content will have on your business, as pointed out earlier on by Tim around Hrefs. So understand, if you're HubSpot and you have an article about how to make the perfect GIF, maybe that's not ideal. But if you have an article about how to do Facebook Open Graph, so your site looks better shared on social media, then that's much more relevant to their platform. Or, if they had an article how to optimize GIF sizes, then that's much more relevant to their platform, because they have the blogging platform. You want to make sure people aren't loading 18 meg images into the site. And also the importance of measuring content marketing. You basically want to learn from your mistakes. As Tim pointed out very early on, It's basically, I guess, you're flogging a dead horse. It's, you're going down the process, you're creating content, you're not really sure why you're doing this, but you know you have to do it. But if you're not measuring the right KPIs, you just won't be able to learn from your mistakes. And you'll probably lose your job in the end. Measuring links. So as Steve pointed out earlier, shares don't always equate to links, but if content's getting a lot of shares, it's likely an interesting piece of content. It may not be getting a lot of links because it may not be getting shared on the right places. Also, you have to assume there's a lot of dark social happens, particularly on LinkedIn, where you can't actually measure everything that's happened. And often links break as well. People put links through bit.ly shorteners and a lot of things. So there's a lot of complications that come around, I guess, the amount of links you build to your content. But one of the things I advise around this is focusing mainly on improving your trust flow. Again, this is a Majestic tool. Obviously, Href has its own tool, so does Moz. But basically, trust flow is the quality of links coming into your site, where citation flow is the number of links. So when you're doing content marketing, you always want to make sure your trust flow is the metric which you're focused on improving, because that means you've got a high number of, high authority links pointing to your site, and not just links for the sake of links. It's also important when you're doing content marketing to measure the changes. So as I said, you've got some idea of why you're doing content marketing, and you've got an end result. So you should be measuring the impact of your content marketing as it moves towards the end goal. So did you acquire links, or did you acquire social shares? And as Tim and Steve have previously mentioned, one may not always equate to the other. So this is where obviously BuzzSumo is a great platform for this type of stuff, because you can do it for your own site, but also competitors. So here we've picked SEMrush because I didn't have an SEMrush slide, so I thought I'd mention them. But basically, we can see through here basically what types of content is getting the most links and the most shares. So this is a good idea, as Steve's pointed out, if you're focusing on particular industries. Because if you're trying to work out, if you're in the travel sector and you're trying to work out, what type of content does really well on entrepreneur.com or inc.com, that may not actually be relevant to your particular vertical, and there's a good chance your content may never appear on those sites unless it's amazing. So yeah, I definitely recommend using platforms like BuzzSumo to understand what types of content is getting shared, and even what types of shares you're looking for. So if your client is in the e-commerce space, you might be particularly interested in Pinterest over all other channels. So obviously focusing your search and filtering on Pinterest. The other one is potentially using platforms like Majestic, as I said previously. They actually have a dashboard, and they also now have historical ranking data, historical trust flow, citation flow data available for domains. But typically when I start with a new client, I add them all into my Majestic dashboard, along with all their competitors, and then I can track over time, because this data is updated daily, on how they're performing, and typically try and visualize that data into either Google Sheets or Tableau, so you can start to see trends. But again, these are the types of things you want to be measuring if you're doing content marketing. You're measuring, are you doing it for social shares, or are you doing it for links? And we'll get on to some of the other metrics you can start to see influence it. So if you're doing large scale pieces around content marketing, there's a few platforms out there that can help you understand your estimated reach. This is more going to align you with what traditional, PR and marketers have been used to. So basically eyeballs. So Coverage Book is one of those platforms. It will basically, you can feed in all your content, and it'll give you an estimated overview of how your content's performed. And again, these types of platforms are really good if you're doing a lot of very high profile pieces of content, and they're nice reporting, which is basically client and management friendly. So yeah, again, you want sort of some general top level content insights. Again, these are estimates, but they're typical metrics that traditional marketers are used to. Another thing which I think a lot of people, when it comes to content marketing, often discounts is referral traffic. So if you're producing relevant content and syndicating on the relevant platforms, you're getting, if you're an SEO software provider and you're getting links from Moz, it's a fairly good chance that's going to be high quality referral traffic, which will much more likely convert. So this is one thing I think a lot of businesses discount when they do content marketing. They don't look at the referral traffic. We've seen it for some of the travel content we've done. One or two large travel sites have covered our content and actually driven thousands of visits, much more than we would have got initially from the organic. But over time, obviously, referral drops off and organic takes that uplift. But yeah, definitely look into referral traffic if you're placing your content on suitable sites and relevant content to the audience. One of the things I typically advise people, please don't try and track your content marketing or link building or PR stuff via UTM tags. One is they cause problems in terms of how they mess with analytics data, but also they get indexed in Google. So we can see an example here, and I've changed the domain not to throw the poor company under the bus. But if you're looking for a manual penalty, SEO links, link building, it's just a really dumb way to do content marketing, I think. So don't try and track all your stuff through UTM tags. It discounts the value of the link and it gets indexed. Also, when you're doing referral traffic, don't forget in Google Analytics to filter out the bots because they will actually skew your traffic significantly. So again, it's a very simple option in the settings. Down the very bottom, it says exclude all bots. It doesn't get rid of everything, but it gets rid of a lot of the junk. So this is when you look at referral traffic. By default, you should be doing that. You can track referral traffic through Google Analytics. There's an actual report within Analytics called referrals. This is where you should be tracking referral traffic. And also the advantage is you can start to understand over time which particular platforms have been a great source of traffic, but it's also which particular platforms are driving engaged users. So you may find, so this is all doctored information, so it's not real. I've mocked it up for the presentation, but basically if you saw that all the traffic from The Guardian actually had a 25-35% conversion rate, reach out to The Guardian, try and get some more content on their platform because obviously the audience is very relevant based on the engagement metrics within your site. So that's where I think content marketing is obviously missing sometimes some gold when they're not looking at referral traffic. Organic traffic. So this is the main thing. So a lot of people do content marketing to improve the organic traffic. But basically doesn't. And you'll find that it doesn't always improve your organic traffic through a number of reasons. There can be situations where people don't link back to your site. There can be situations that you get a lot of social shares but no links. But with content marketing, you can find on-page content can actually lift traffic. So this is a friend of mine's business. So they run a transfer service, so limousines and stuff. But you can look here. It's a period of almost 2 years. So it's basically taken almost 2 years for their content to start to have a significant impact on their business. So it now accounts for about 5% of their total traffic, which is great. But it takes a long time for content marketing to have the significant impacts. So when you're doing your content marketing campaigns, don't do content marketing campaigns if you need results next week. Content marketing campaigns done right is a long-term strategy and they'll have a massive ROI over time. But just have some of those expectations in place. And this is where also you look at existing content, understand how that's performing, and then you can sort of estimate how it may perform if you expanded the content. But yeah, so for this project, it took about 1.5 years for it to go ROI positive. But they're happy with that now. They're spending less on AdWords. So long term, it's better for them. And the audience is relevant and it leads to conversions. Another thing is when a lot of people do content marketing is they don't actually measure how it changes the search results. So there's various ways to do that, but one of the ones I recommend to people is looking at Search Console. Again, it's a free tool. All sites should have it. And basically what I've got here, I've got a mocked up example where I've filtered out branded queries. I've got my target URL that obviously I'm focusing on. And you can see that in this particular example, there was a positive uplift any clicks and impressions. So again, use Search Console because it can start to give you an insight on how your content is performing. This is on-site content before you start to get the clicks to your website. And also you can filter in country and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I definitely recommend using Search Console a bit more for your on-site content. It'll give you some great insights. Sorry. Also looking at, did the average rank change? So as Tim pointed out previously, going through looking at some of your existing content, how it's performing. Okay, maybe the content's not performing that great anymore and needs a refresh. If you spend the time and energy refreshing your content, look to see has it had a positive impact. Again, all this information is freely available, but it's only for your website, only on-site content. But off-site, you can use various tools, SEO Monitor, Ahrefs, SEMrush, to understand how it performed for off-site. But for on-site, I would say Search Console is a great option. Number of keywords. So this is one that a lot of people probably typically forget about when they're looking at content marketing. But if you've added a whole lot of content to your site, is there an increasing amount of terms which are driving traffic to your website? The downside to a lot of commercial platforms is they may not be tracking all these long tail keywords, but the advantage is you can take this data and drop it into a lot of these search platforms and then start to track these keywords. So basically what we can see here is that particular part of the site had gone from 172 keywords driving traffic to 204 in 30 days. So basically you can start to see there's an impact in content marketing. You were ranking for more terms than you were previously, so it was a positive impact. Again, this is a very small sample size, but these are the types of things you can see as you go through the progress of the campaign. You can start to see positive impacts, and you want to record this information as well. Improved rankings. So again, that's what a lot of people do content marketing for. So here we've got a screenshot of our SEO Monitor, where we're basically tracking a handful of keywords. We can see if there's any different search features, such as rich snippets or ads or images. And we can sort of get an idea of the traffic volume and the year-on-year improvement. So I definitely say track your focus terms on a commercial platform. It's a smart way to do it, but definitely start with Search Console. So automated insight. So I guess, did the content performance highlight any positive impacts to your site? So one of the things which I've had some fun playing around with is SEO Monitor. So they have an external content performance platform that basically scrapes the web, auto detects articles to add, or you can manually add it, and then integrate your analytics and Search Console data and start to understand how that particular content piece had an impact on your site, and it estimates its potential visibility improvement or decreased. So again, these types of platforms make content marketing much more scalable, and you should definitely look at testing some of these things. Getting towards the end, I believe. Forecasting. So there's probably some forecasting stuff, as there's various platforms out there, such as like BuzzSumo and Majestic and Ahrefs. So you can start to understand how established the competitors are in that particular space. Do they have 10,000 articles and you're producing one? Using various tools, what is the SEO difficulty score based on those particular target terms you're creating content around? And you can also look at some of historical stuff or even competitors. What is the average number of links they acquire when the production of content? So if you produce 10 pieces of content and on average you're going to get about 1 link per piece, you've got about 10 extra links. So if you need an extra 1,000 links, you need to produce the next 1,000 pieces of content. Also important to understand what's the amount of referral traffic going to content pieces, and also organic traffic. So this is where you've got a bit of a baseline. You can understand if you need X amount of traffic, you need to produce about this many pieces of content. And you can also understand how new pieces of content you're producing are performing against historical stuff. And I got this creepy looking spider because I thought it'd wake everyone up. So basically, and that leads into sort of how much content you need. And I'd say basically you need to work backwards from your goals to estimate the amount of resources required for your project. So how much organic traffic is required? How many terms you're actually targeting? If you're targeting 3 or 4 terms, you may not need 10,000 articles. How much referral traffic do you need? Some businesses understand referral traffic really well. So yeah, again, how many quality links you are behind your competitors. So if your competitors have 10,000 links and if you've got 100 links, you may not need to match them with 10,000 links if you can get some quality links. Also understand how much content you currently have. And again, it's a very important thing. How does content fit within the purchase cycle? And what do you have missing? Last one, basically, how to report on your results. Again, platforms like SEO Monitor can help. Setting up dashboard and Majestic help track competitors. Coverage book. And it's also important to do comparison year on year to avoid seasonal trends, and also compare your target pages against a control group. So if you're doing link building or content marketing around cars, how's motorbikes performing, or how's auto parts? And yes, thank you.
Presentation, because it covers the most aspects when it comes to measuring and evaluating the content performance. And I really love that you also touched organic traffic. That's what Tim did as well. And I have a really quick one question that I just selected from our live stream. And so this question is, what is the most common content marketing mistake you see and how to avoid it? So I believe let's start from Tim, and then we are going just to move to Stevie, and then back to you, David. Does it sound like a plan?
Well, basically something tells me that we're about to agree on one single thing. And the biggest content marketing mistake is that people don't put enough effort into their content. So they just write whatever article they kind of have in their mind this week, put it out, and that's it. But let's see what other guys will say.
Okay.
I would go. Yeah, happy to agree with you. You certainly need to invest a lot of time in your content. I'm a great believer in write less content, but write more detailed content. I do think I like Tim's 110, 110. I see a lot of people just not amplifying their content. And it seems to me you shouldn't even start writing content unless you've thought about how it's going to get amplified, how it's going to get shared. And the reality is the data shows that content doesn't go viral. Content never goes viral in the true sense of 2 people share, 2 more people share, 2 more people share. Content really goes viral through multiple broadcasts. You need multiple influencers, multiple sites talking about your content, etc. So you have to think about the amplification. And I'm sad sometimes when I see really good content, but people still don't find it because it's not being amplified. So you need both. Invest time, as Tim says, 110 in your content, but also 110 in your amplification.
Sounds very good, but do you have any kind of, let's say, quick tips how you can improve your content amplification? What kind of, researches or what kind of preps you can do before you're going to just, simply publish it and waiting for results?
Yeah, I think from my side, I think that who's likely to share it? Who's likely to share it? Maybe you involve them in the content production to help you share it later, which is what expert roundups obviously do. But which sort of sites might review your post, might be interested in your research. Think about all those things first, because you can invest so much time in producing the content. You want to make sure that people find it, and therefore you need really multiple broadcast points. So you need to think about all the ways you can promote that particular piece of content. So yeah, just think about who's likely to share it, who's likely to review the article, those sorts of things. But do that before you even start writing, really, because it will help you shape the content as well.
And what do you think, David, about it?
So I would say stop producing shit content. I mean, so there's one of the things is kind of like if you're not really sure on an idea, just put it on Twitter, post on LinkedIn, just a bit of a blurb. I mean, so some of the strangest piece of content I've written personally. So I spent, I think, 3 days, a couple of years ago, if not longer, writing a piece on how Yahoo understands and analyzes spam, and really in-depth, crazy post. I think it got like 100 visits at most over like several years. But one or two influencers reached out to me, was like, I love your thinking. And it was a great sort of way to engage with some of those people. But I'm like, you're like one person who read this post. I've done posts on LinkedIn around Amazon dash buttons being the future of Amazon. One of my first comments was actually, I think, 2 or 3 times longer than my actual article, because I just wrote something. And again, it was just an interesting perspective, but more so when I talk about shit content, it's content that's factually wrong, it's just not on brand, it's just randomness, and you've just created content for the sake of content. And we see it with some of the clients we speak with, where there was one particular client that their content was so bad in the terms of geography and its understanding where things were, that I included the screenshot in the presentation when we pitched to them. Just in terms of, you know, other parts of their site, 99% to 98% of the content is identical. So, you know, all this templated stuff, you know, it needs to get refreshed, and it can get refreshed, but there's no point doing this stuff anymore, just basic templated stuff. Make your content amazing, organic, make it unique as possible.
Thank you, David. But what do you recommend to do to, like, you know, to those clients as well, when they really wanted to produce something, but well, it doesn't work for them? So what kind of, I don't know, strategy they should follow before they are going to produce anything?
Paid. If you want to produce a particular piece of content that is a completely branded, you know, buy our stuff type of piece, just put paid budget behind it. If the content's not going to help anyone, but it's just about telling people how amazing you are, just put paid budget behind it, and, you know, amplify it across LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and you'll get eyeballs. So yeah, that's what I would say. Put budget behind it if it's maybe not going to be viral content.
Well, actually, I think, guys, I have one more really quick question, since we've touched social media channels in terms of running social ads. And, well, you know, what I found for just, you know, for my business, for digital marketing, that it's not really effective to use Twitter, because the cost per click and per engagement is way higher than what you can get on Facebook. So, and what do you recommend here? Or it's only for digital marketing? So I'm just, you know, out of curiosity here. What do you think?
Yeah, we've had similar experience to you. We've not had great success with Twitter. We've had better success with Facebook by far. That said, I know that Answer the Public, and I like the guys there based near me in Brighton, they've had really big success with Twitter. But they've created really nice little amusing videos, and they've had huge success with Twitter ads in a way that I've sort of studied what they do, because we've struggled with Twitter. So we've generally had more success on Facebook. LinkedIn is good, but it's quite expensive. So yeah, we've had most success in paid with Facebook, but then we don't spend a lot, so we're probably not the best case study. But where we've had most success on Facebook.
Yeah, that's for me as well. I mean, like, I was just, you know, trying to allocate the same budget. So for instance, like, well, which will be like quite small one. So let's say 100, just, you know, dollars or euros, whatever it is, let's say per day. That was the highest budget I was, like, you know, allocating. And what I found that in the majority of cases, you're going to get, let's say, if you just, you know, set up everything. I'm not talking about right now tailored based audience, because that's something a bit more specific here. I'm more talking about just general audience that you create based on interests. But in terms of Twitter, what I like, you can also make tailored audience just by you know, with the help of, for instance, Follow Me Wrong. You can just scrape all the followers of different companies and create those audience. So let's say there was similarly relatively the same audiences in both Twitter and Facebook, and I've got, I think, as I remember, let's say 100 less social engagements compared between those channels. So for instance, I've paid for 10 clicks or something, or maybe 20 clicks in Twitter, and that was for 100 euros. So yeah, and that wasn't videos. Yeah, I was also actually considering videos because I think that should. Yeah, sure, David.
So I mean, €100 is a decent amount of money for a test budget. I do it every once in a while. Like, if I'll put this post on Facebook and I'll throw $5, $10 behind it. So that's typically how I run the type of stuff. The one thing I have found, if you can get a tweet that already has an organic engagement, and I did this as a test for myself, I found it was 10 to 15 times cheaper than just a fresh tweet. So it was a while ago, I put out a tweet around the Star Wars exhibition in London, and I got a couple of retweets and got more retweets and more mentions. I think even Star Wars official account retweeted my tweet. I duplicated the exact same tweet, same images, everything like that, ran a test with Twitter ads, and it was 10 to 15 times more expensive to promote that tweet that had basically no engagement. So it's a similar thing within Facebook. So I would be much smarter about what you chose to throw your budget behind. And also I'd be very smart about your targeting. And I find Twitter, it can be expensive if you do the wrong one, but with the right targeting, it can be great. And yeah, it's obviously, it's much more targeted because within Twitter, I can target journalists who like travel and follow the Huffington Post about my article I just wrote in the Huffington Post that they might want to read or reference. So I think LinkedIn is way too expensive. They said they're going to reduce the price at some point, but yeah, I think Twitter, it's great, but try and focus on a tweet that already has a bit of engagement, and you'll find your costs will be much, much better. I was supposed to write a blog post about it, sorry, but
yeah.
I would also agree on targeting tailored audiences as well, and just a plug in, but you can pull out tailored audiences in lots of ways. So if you just want to pull out everybody who shared Tim's latest article, you can quickly just put that in and pull out everybody who shared it, target it as a tailored audience to then post your article to them, for example. So tailored audiences work. So, but yeah, pull out, maybe people who are sharing competitors' content or specific topics or specific URLs even, put those into BuzzSumo, pull out all the people who shared that and build that into a tailored audience. That works better. I still need to learn more from Answer the Public on doing nice, amusing videos, because they seem to have really good success with that. So we need to learn.
And what about you, Tim? I see that HS, you are using guys social ads quite a lot, well, especially Facebook, not sure about Twitter.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of actually embarrassed to answer this question because we were advertising on Facebook for like, I think 2 years now or something, and we also tried advertising on Twitter, and we were pretty happy with our results on Facebook. Twitter didn't seem to perform that well, but the reason why I am embarrassed is because just a few weeks ago I have hired a really technical and really smart guy, and we run a few campaigns together on Facebook, and we had a ton of great takeaways. But one of them that I wanted to share right now with you is that we realized that like 90% of our advertising budget was going to countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Turkey, and stuff like this. So basically, because people in these countries somehow click a lot, Facebook is serving more ads to them to spend your money faster. And so basically, when I was for 2 years, I was thinking that we were spending our ad budget to US, Australia, because these were the countries that we were targeting. Like you put Australia, US, but as soon as like friends of friends start clicking, like you get this other engagement, Facebook will put your countries, so you have to also exclude countries that you don't want to see. So yeah, my only advice is to hire some really smart guy who will export a lot of data on your campaigns, who will analyze it, and who will show you what's happening. Because again, you will see a lot of difference between the targeting on mobile devices versus targeting on desktop devices. You will realize that you can target people on iPads who have their Wi-Fi turned on. And all sorts of stuff. You will realize that when you run an ad for a video, what Steve said, you can actually then retarget people based on their engagement. Like if they watch 25% of a video, 50% of a video, 75. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can do with Facebook. And my advice is to hire someone who's really, really good at it, because otherwise, like us, you will spend 2 years wasting your budget on whoever Facebook will show you ad to.
Thank you, Tim. Really great tip, actually. That's what's, yeah, David.
I was saying, are we going? I thought we were finishing. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, just, we have just, 1-2 minutes.
I mean, it's interesting thing around that, Tim. So I remember years ago, I used to be able to get Facebook likes for 1 or 2 cents, but then the problem is a majority of my audience, my old Facebook page, was based in Philippines, India, and Thailand, which is fine. The audience engaged, but they were people who are never likely to hire me as a consultant. So yeah, there is rationale, but yeah, it's very easy on Facebook just to blindly spend by accident. Also, typically when people do the simple option of boost this post, that's often a mistake for both platforms. But yeah, targeted stuff, it can be very effective, but also make sure you add the conversion pixel so you can understand how many leads or sales come through Facebook, because that's the thing other people forget as well.
Thank you, David. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for sharing great tips. Just sending kudos from comment section to Tim about sharing a tip about excluding countries. So thank you very much. It was awesome, and I hope to see you at among our speakers at next Digital Olympus. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Take
Bye.
care. Cheers. So I believe we are going to switch, so we need to make a couple of preps, so just 1-2 minutes before we are going to move to our next section. So guys, stay with us, and just 1-2 minutes. Okay, we are back, and we are going to have, on the next session will be dedicated to social media strategies. We have an amazing speakers today, Lucas Żelazny, Mary Page, and Fernando Angulo from SEMrush. So they are going to cover this section for us, and I'm super excited to present our very first speaker. That will be Lucas Żelazny. Hi Lucas, how are you doing?
Hi, not bad. Thank you very much for the invitation. I've just been listening for a while. Very interesting, very good to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, excited.
Okay, so let me introduce you, and then we are going to switch to your presentation. So I have a pleasure to introduce Lucas Żelazny, and actually I've had the pleasure to speak with Lucas at the same conferences, so it's even more exciting for me. And Lucas, he's a head of organic acquisition and social media speaker, as well as SEO evangelist, and he lives in London. And also he's he works at uswitch.com. That's a UK-based price comparison website with offices in London. Is it a big company, Lucas?
Yeah, well, right now we are a part of Zoopla, ZPG group, so we're growing very fast, and you know, lots of opportunities is there. We can exchange the knowledge between the other teams. Very exciting.
In your bio that you traveled 75,000 kilometers in order to deliver speeches at different conferences. Is it true? How many countries did you visit?
Well, I don't know how many, pretty much a lot of countries, but if you're talking about conferences, it's difficult to count. But I was quite crazy to speak in this kind of far away distance locations like Indonesia, China, and it was very interesting because you know, you can learn a bit more about how online marketing looks there, what people focusing more on this, on that, especially Indonesia, which is kind of growing market, and they are very hungry of being successful. It's very encouraging, and you know, that's how I end up in 75,000 kilometers.
That's a lot. Well, yeah, really impressive. Okay, so could you please share a screen so we are going just, you know, to see that everything works, and then I'm going to mute myself.
Good. Thank you very much once again for invitation and for introduction.
You're very welcome. I'm super excited to see you among our speakers, and I love what you're talking about, and I'm just, you know, really looking forward to your presentation especially.
Thank you. So, do we see
yeah,
everybody?
could you please click on full screen? Yeah, that's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will try to be quite fast. Thank you very much for having me as the first. So this time I'm going to talk about social media and how to kind of squeeze a bit if you have no time and so on and so on. Like Alexandra said, I'm Lucas Żelazny, living in London for last 10 years. So off we go. Working in a company called Uswitch. You can find me on the website Żelazny UK. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. So after presentation, let's stay in touch. It's always good that after we can have some, you know, conversation online and so on and so on. This is how I structurize my presentation today. I will cover schedulers automatization, a bit about the reach, and a bit about brand tracking. And just to be very clear and very direct with you guys, this is kind of like I will be your guinea pig. I will be sharing something that I was implementing in the last couple of years and that works. So that's are pretty much things that I kind of using, or I was using, or I will be using maybe, rather than things I read somewhere and then I'm just building presentation based on what I read. You always can go and read by yourself, but you know, whatever someone discovered privately, maybe it's not as obvious. So I think that it will create an added value. So First tactic, schedulers, make me visible more. What does it mean? So obviously, there are lots of talks about content calendar, about being in the right place with the right time, and so on and so on. And obviously, the day is only 24 hours, so you cannot spend all your 24 hours on social media. That would be pretty crazy. Some people are also asking me, like, Lucas, you are so many times visible on Twitter or LinkedIn, on Facebook. You must spend all your life on social media. I was like, that's wrong. Actually, I'm using some tools, some tactics, some strategies just to, first of all, be with the right message in the right time, and also to give an impression that I am constantly there, because if someone will reply, then obviously I can then personally get there and start conversation. So schedulers, and for this example, I have a Hootsuite. Probably most of you heard, and probably some of you is using Hootsuite, a powerful platform. I'm always saying Hootsuite, Hootsuite, and once again, Hootsuite. So Hootsuite got many functions, and I love built-in apps. I love the fact that you can plug so many different platforms. It can be LinkedIn, it can be LinkedIn, it can be fan page, it can be private profile, it can be Twitter, and so on, Instagram. But one of the very, very good function that I'm always use, and I'm always hungry to use, is a schedulers. And obviously schedulers, a simple function, very useful. So there is a CSV file, you just need to upload, and this is how the CSV file look like. This is the American notation, so you can choose American or European notation, month, day, year, and then hour and minute, or day, month, year, hour and minute. And then in the column B, there is your message, when in the column C, there is your link. So you can easily see how the template look like, and it's very easy to prepare for yourself a list of messages that you will be sharing there on your channels. So take a look. This is my this is a screenshot from my scheduler, and you can see that Wednesday, Thursday is quite all right, and then Friday is quite busy. What was it? Friday, that was September 2015, Brighton SEO. I was very busy. I had to stay in the office. I was almost crying. I couldn't go there, but I was like, okay, I can be visible on social media with some message. And now I was thinking, like, what kind of message I can put there to attract the audience. I know that they are very SEO oriented. I know that they probably will be a bit nerdy and geeky like me, but I cannot share anything with about what they talking there, because I'm not physically there. So I was thinking for a moment, and I was like, okay, I think I know what type of message I could share. So once again, that was Friday, 18th of September 2005, and at 8 o'clock I started every half an hour posting something, and that was the first message, which is visible here. How we did a screenshot in 1983, #Brighton SEO. And what happened? 19 retweets, 31 favorites, recognized. I was like, this is the way to go. This is the way to go, because people there saw my message. They were constantly looking on the Brighton SEO hashtag. And doesn't matter that it wasn't strictly about what people are talking there at the stage. It was something that engaged people. Another example, the left side so-called laptop is what we would use 25 years ago. #Brighton SEO, 9 retweets, 6 favorites. Maybe not as much as the previous example, but still engagement was there. And the third, my favorite example, why Earth is the best planet? Because we have Wi-Fi and there is no Wi-Fi on Jupiter. And obviously we had 26 retweets and 33 favorites. So I was like, recognized, that really stick, that really matched the audience expectation. And despite from the fact it wasn't really about, SEO strictly, it was kind of entertaining enough to give some reaction. So the question is how I know when to post things. In my case, there is a website called liner.com, but there are other websites, phillyweis.online.marketing, where you can see all the list of the conferences which are out there. And there was another one after the one I mentioned, after Brighton SEO. Another one was in October. It was Performance Marketing Insight. 2015, and I knew that there is a PMI LDN hashtag. I think I can try to do some a little, I have no graphic skills at all, but here is a PMI LDN hashtag, and I was like, all right, so 29th till 30th, we can again schedule something that will engage the audience. And I had once on my training a guy who said like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant because I'm selling bicycles, and in Hong Kong there is the big expo every year, and I cannot go there because this is too expensive, too far, but I know what is the hashtag and I know what is the date. I was like, here we go, welcome. You can start scheduling messages with Hootsuite or Buffer. If you like Buffer as well, you can do this with Buffer. So that was about scheduling. The second tactic is automatization, and I love automatization. I am crazy about automatization. I will give you 3 examples right now. So there is if this then that. There is Zapier. I will use if this then that because it's, I think, a bit easier to present. How it works. So how then? What does it mean? If this then that. If something, there something. So there is like you're preparing kind of a link between what happened and what needs to happen. So let me go straight to the examples that will be easier to understand. Hash journal requests, hash PR requests. That are religious hashtags in UK, and I think in US probably also. Every time a journalist want someone to engage is using this journal request, PR request. What they doing? They very often writing like, okay, have you been affected by recent energy price rise? Hash journal request, let me know. And probably they building some article. Or do you afraid, are you European citizen and you afraid of Brexit? Contact with me as we preparing article, hash journal request or hash PR request. And now I was thinking like, oh my gosh, this is amazing to get interaction with journalists. Rather than bombarding them with emails, I can try to track this journal request, PR request hashtags. And obviously there are some tools which are doing this, you need to pay, but hey, you can do this easily for free. So what I did, I just created a receipt, if new tweet from search journal request and social. So we can see here journal request, social. Again, my skills are like 3 years old, but I'm sorry, this is the best I can. Journal request, social, then send me email, lukasz@zeleznyko.uk. So if another one, if there is a journal request, and I'm doing this consciously, I'm not using even hashtag. So if someone will forget to put hash, it still will be catched by if this then that. If journal request marketing, then again send me email. If journal request Polish minus nails, I was born in Poland, I'm Polish, but I know nothing about polishing nails. Okay, so I excluded word nails and nail, and I said everything what is journal request Polish, then send me an email. And finally, this is that the part I saw you that was if this. And then we're going, then that, then email, and in email, I need to receive a text of the tweet and the username of the person who tweeted this. And this is how my inbox looked like. Pretty crazy, but I was quite excited. You see, I'm using also these emojis in the title line, so I know that this is from If This Then That, Twitter via If This Then That, Ribbon Fish Team, and so on and so on. I'm receiving these messages, and this is how the example one looked like. Ribbon Fish Team, how can publishers do marketing better? Expert needed to comment for article and ebook. PR request, journal request. So if I have something valuable that will create an added value to add, I can say, hey, Ribbon Fish Team, come to me, contact me, I will talk to you, and and then I have mention, maybe I have a link, maybe I have a future opportunity to work with them, and so on and so on. How can public? By the way, I'm taking photos like in 1983, so I'm taking a picture like that because I think like it makes convincing people more that this is a real screenshot. I didn't make this up. So how can publishers do marketing better? Expert needed to comment for article and ebook, PR request, journal request. Simple as that. Another example, flynews.com. I have no doubt that most of people love traveling. I'm crazy about traveling. Alexandra said I've done 75,000 kilometers, but obviously that's the good part. The bad part is that flight tickets sometimes are expensive. So what is Fly News? Is a blog which is constantly tracking Skyscanner and so on, looking for super cheap offers. And sometimes there are crazy offers like flying to Tokyo for 300 euros. However, you need to fly there from Oslo and return to Zurich. But it's all right, yeah? And now, you know, Fly News is there, and I cannot every day be there, but I can create an automatization, yeah? So I created, oh, by the way, this is how it looks, and I am not lying you that you can see here, multi-city flights from UK to Amsterdam and South Asia from 274 pounds. Bargain, almost nothing. Singapore, 243, and so on and so on. So, first of all, the question, do I really care about all destinations? Probably not. I like Japan, Thailand, Indonesia. So, I went to Feedreens and I took the original RSS and put to the Feedreens and I filtered this RSS and I said, show me, create a new RSS feed which contain only destinations Japan, Thailand, and Indonesia. So Feedreens done this, and this is the finally the RSS feed I received. That's our only destinations I care and I would like to go in the nearest future. So then I created a recipe, if new feed from feedreens.com/service, blah, 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 blah. There is a number, then send me an email to Lucas@Zeleznyko.uk. So every time there will be a new item in this RSS I created, it's definitely item that contain Thailand, Indonesia, or Japan. So I want to have an email. Moreover, here on the right side, I really want to be sure that I didn't omit anything. So I want to have a message. And there will be, you can call me after this conference, that's my phone number. So you can, if this then that will send me a message, an SMS to my mobile, and voila, this is how my inbox look like. Again, I have another emoji here, a little fly news alert, and so on and so on. And this is how the email look like. So there is a bit of text, and then I have a link. I can see more where to go on the Fly News, and Fly News there will show me that, okay, go to Skyscanner, click that link, and you can book the ticket right now. This is how my phone look like. Again, I'm receiving messages straight to my mobile, so perfect. The third one is track your time. Very interesting, so think about this. You can link another thing, which is Google Drive, Google Spreadsheets. So I linked my Google Spreadsheets and I said, okay, every time I will be in a specific area, then add, if this then that, will add one line to Google Spreadsheets. What is the area? The area is near in London, near Tower Bridge, which is visible in, this is Tower and here is Tower Bridge. Because here is office of Uswitch where I'm working every day. And I was interested, how much time do I spend in this office? I really like my job, sometimes too much, and I'm spending a long hours there. So I said, if I am in that area, and I put plus minus 800 meters, so when I'm going for a lasagna for a lunch, then I'm not leaving this area, then create a thing in the Google Spreadsheets. And every day I'm getting there, one line in Google Spreadsheets is created. And when I'm leaving this area, another one line is created. And take a look. This is the spreadsheet. October, entered, exit, entered, exit, entered, exit. And finally, I could take this data and show you how much time do I spend in my office. And now, the orange line is how much I should spend, and the blue lines is how much I really spend. So I am a very devoted employee, because almost every day I am more than I need. Because obviously I like to read and I like to find new things and so on and so on, that's why. But obviously I like my job as well. Reach a targeted customer, that's another tactic. So very simple, duck soup and LinkedIn. What is duck soup? It's a plugin that is working under Chrome, and every time you're visiting some profiles on LinkedIn, and daily you're doing this probably a lot, duck soup is trying to aggregate this in the form of spreadsheet. So I could install this and automatically and forget, and after a few days I came and there was 704 profile captured. What is DuckSoup trying to do is trying to capture as many things as possible. In the old LinkedIn there was much higher number of possibilities, because there was also a Twitter, sometimes a phone number, even the people who are not in your network. But now obviously LinkedIn changed the design, but it's still valuable. So you can export this to spreadsheets. I hope you forgive me that it's blurred, but obviously I didn't want it to share all the data of the people. I just and you know, like someone said to me, isn't this a bit like stalking? I'm like, man, marketing is a stalking. It's a very sophisticated stalking, very sophisticated, but still stalking. And the second thing I said, if something is stupid but works, it's not stupid. So marketing shouldn't be beautiful. Marketing should work. And what we have a spreadsheet with lots of data, very often with company name, very often with URL of the company, very often with name and surname. What we can do then? We can try to go with Email Hunter. What is Email Hunter? Amazing software. Right now they call this Hunter, but I like the name Email Hunter because that describes what I will be showing you right now. So think about this. This is the example. John Smith from example company. What email he can have? Let's say example company is example.com. Let me give you 3 seconds. Okay, so john.smith@example.com, johnsmith.example@example.com, maybe jsmith, and so on and so on. Think about this. This is how I see this. johnsmith@example.com, john.smith@example.com, jsmith@example.com, smith@example.com. 95% of emails will be constructed like that. Think about yourself and your previous company was working, what email you had. I always had lucas.zelezny at company name. Rarely Zelezny or rarely Lukasz. Even if my name is quite crazy and nobody can spell this properly. Yeah, an Email Hunter is there for you to find a way what is the real email. So you installing Email Hunter under Chrome as a Chrome extension. And think about this. This is like old LinkedIn, but that doesn't really matter. I just said, show me people who in title got social media, and they are located in Warsaw, capital of Poland, because that time I was going to Poland, and I had 155 results of people who have title containing social media. And also, back in the day, I could decide that there were entry level and training. Right now, I would need to probably upgrade my account, but generally 155 people. And now, what I can do from the top bar of Chrome, click, I'm opening Email Hunter, and click Find Email Addresses and Save the Leads. And I have, out of here is I think 8 or 7. You can see 7 people here. These people here been recognized correctly. Moreover, if you export this to CSV, export these emails to CSV, Email Hunter is trying to figure out the probability that Email Hunter was right. So if you see, Email Hunter will say like, this is email of that person, and we are sure by 95% or 98%. That's probably perfect. If there is like 40, 30%, maybe you should exclude them, yeah? And what you can do a lot of things. And the last thing is that I'm suggesting to start bombarding these people with newsletters. Just, you know, sometimes you want specific person contact email. And that's our emails, the company emails. So these people are 8 hours in office, predominantly working always with emails. So no chance that this person will lose traction and will not at least see that email. So you can, you know, politely approach a business to business, you know, I don't know, we have a new platform, we have a new product, we have a new service, join, we organizing a meetup, and so on and so on and so on. Finally, previous presentation was a little about Twitter and Twitter and the audience. I'm using a application called Tweepy. So, so what is Tweepy? Think about this. First of all, let's choose a profile which is kind of similar to what I'm doing. So Trender. So Trender is a platform, social media platform. So I choose this, and I was like, okay, they have almost 6,000 followers. Probably these followers are similar to me. They like social media and so on and so on. And what I could do, I could load all these followers to Tweepy and say, okay, now Tweepy, exclude everybody except of these people who are speaking in Polish, tweeted in last 3 days, and have a proper avatars in their profile. And I have a list of people. Take a look, location, Poland, Warsaw, everywhere, Poland, but everywhere is written in Polish, so that's why, and so on and so on. Last tweeted a couple of hours ago, so definitely that's our live profiles, and so on and so on. And I can exclude them from the whole list of people that following So Trender, and I can do the same what I was doing before, contacting them, and so on and so on. Finally, LinkedIn and Facebook. So LinkedIn is amazing because I allowed you to export all the contacts to CSV. And what you can do with this, you're exporting to CSV, and in the CSV export, you have email addresses of all the people who are in your network, so are connected to you. And then what you can do, you can create a custom audience on Facebook based on emails from LinkedIn. And right now we're talking about private emails. So you can target with the same message people on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And I'm using this for some time. And this is the best tweet I had ever in my career. The guy, my friend Rido from Jakarta, that I met like 3 years ago, he sent me on Twitter that we've been on LinkedIn, yeah? So we've been friends on LinkedIn, but also on Twitter and on Facebook. And on Twitter, he sent me that on Facebook, he see my advert, which is because from LinkedIn, I took his details. So this is this tweet is a pure proof that it works. That was kind of a sponsored post about my future conferences and so on and so on. The last thing is Crowdfire. Some of you may know. And again, if something is stupid but works, is not stupid, and marketing should work, not be beautiful. So direct messages still work for me. And every time someone is following me on Twitter, I'm sending a message that, hey, thank you very much, but I'm also on LinkedIn, and this is how it looks from my side. The last part is brand tracking, and I'm using a couple of tools. So here on the screen you have TalkWalker, Brand24, Fresh Web Explorer, and Google Alerts. I'm predominantly using these two, Brand24 and TalkWalker. TalkWalker, I had a trial version, but when it expired, it stopped. It didn't stop sending me alerts, so I'm quiet. I'm like, maybe they won't notice. Brand24 is amazing. And again, like I said, my name and surname is quite crazy, Lukasz Zelezny. Everybody is calling me Zelensky, Zelency. And I wanted to change my name for Archibald Smith. I was like, enough. I don't want to be Lukasz Zelezny that nobody can spell it. But then I was like, hold on. That's brilliant, because there is probably only one Lukasz Zelezny. It's a Polish name, Czech surname, crazy. And I created brand tracking, and I put all my name and surname in different configuration, with space, without space, and so on. And after, this is the 3 months time, 2015, January till March, and you can see that there was 2,575 mentions, predominantly on Twitter, but also some blogs, and so on and so on. And what I could see, first of all, one day I was like that, and I was like, what is this? Because I saw article like that, and I was like, what is this language? And then I was like, hold on, that's probably Russian. I cannot read Russian, but I can understand a bit Russian. And I was like, how it happened? So what happened? These guys from ibusiness.ru took my article from LinkedIn, translated this, not asking me, even put this on their portal and put my name in the Latin. And I was like so grateful. I could say like, oh my gosh, guys, thank you very much, and so on and so on. And today we are sending postcard for Christmas. Now I'm joking, we are not sending Christmas postcard, but I'm grateful. I wouldn't know that if I wouldn't have a Brand24. So because I went a bit of the time summary, we talk about schedulers, we talk about automatization, we talk about reach, and we talk about brand tracking. That was me, Lukasz Zelezny, and I would like to say thank you very much for you.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you for a great presentation, and I love that the last few slides about Russian language when some random guys translated your article. And actually, I want to add that I'm also really happy that my name is Alexandra Tachalova, which is really hard to spell as well. But the thing here that when I set up brand tracking, I only receive articles about myself, so nothing else additional. And each time I think, like, if I was, I don't know, like John Smith, for instance, how it will be hard for me to get through all this data and to just, you know, to get relevant brand mentions. So, well, sometimes I'm also grateful about kind of unique name. And so I believe we are ready to jump to our next presenter. That will be Mary Page. Mary, can you hear me?
I can. Let me share my screen, shall I?
Sure. Let me just make a quick intro, and meanwhile you can share a screen now, just, you know, or you can wait just for a couple of minutes. So thank you, Mary, for joining us. I really appreciate this. Actually, I was desperately searching for social media specialists to join this section, and that was just, you know, great that you were able to join us. And so Mary is one of the UK's leading Facebook marketing experts, and she is also a founding partner of digital marketing consulting, which is called, oh well, I'll try my best, the Digital.
Well, you know, you were saying how you have an unpronounceable and a misspelt name. My brand name is a little like that. So
really?
Go ahead.
How should I say it? I'm sorry.
So it's the Digiterati as opposed to Digerati. So it's Digiterati.
Okay.
That's like the Glitterati.
And you can guys also check their Facebook page, and actually I love it because Mary helps a lot. She, like, you know, she once helped me a lot answering my stupid questions, so you can guys go there, join this community, and you'll get just, you know, help, just, you know, and you'll get an answer to all your questions. Highly recommend. And so also, she recently published a book at an online course, Winning at Facebook Marketing with Zero Budget. Oh, I love it. Okay, so guys, I highly recommend you to check Facebook community as well as this book. And Mary, could you please share your screen? Thank you.
You got that?
Yes, thank you.
Good stuff. All right. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is Facebook's newsfeed algorithm. This was previously called EdgeRank. Hasn't actually been described as EdgeRank by Facebook themselves for years now. So I call it the newsfeed algorithm, which is the way that they describe it now. But a little bit about us to begin with. So the Digiterati, the consultancy with the difficult to pronounce name, we do consultancy and training, and you'll see some of the training stuff we do on that website there. We also run, as Alexandra said, quite a thriving Facebook group called Team Digiterati. Would love to have you there, but I'm not here to sell, so let's get on with things. So what I want to talk to you about really in the context of the algorithm is that Facebook page reach is terrible. You spend all this time creating fabulous content, you spend all this time getting new fans, and yet something like about 12% of your fans will see the average post. This is the most recent research I've found. LocoWise do 6 monthly studies on this, quite a decent sample size as well. And at the moment, reach on average is looking at about 12% of your fan base. That means that a lot of your posts are going to be way lower than that, because the odd reasonably viral post really pushes this up. So you can see that engagement is reasonably low as well, when you look at just 12% of people seeing stuff, and then of those only 4% actually engaging. It's pretty poor. So as page owners, unless we're going to pay, we need to work on how to increase that number. Graphically, that's what this looks like. So we've got a post here that we've done. This was a podcast live broadcast that we did. So we're putting it out to all these people on Facebook, however many hundreds or thousands of fans we've got, but a very, very small percentage seeing them. And that, folks, is the state of reach nowadays. Back in the day, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, we were looking at 30 to 50% reach on average, and everyone was happy. They were even moaning about that, moaning that they couldn't get 100% reach. But nowadays, if you're getting 12%, you're doing pretty well. It's not a great state of affairs. It's why a lot of us have moved to Facebook groups. It's why we see a lot more sponsored content in our news feeds, because it's the only way we can guarantee to get stuff out there. Now, the thing that drives this is the newsfeed algorithm, and it promotes content that Facebook loves and it throttles content that it dislikes. It has a friends and family first policy, so you're more likely to see stuff from friends and family that you engage with a lot, far less likely to see stuff from Facebook pages. That's because none of us really like being sold to on Facebook. Even if we've signed up and we like a page, we still don't want to be bombarded by this stuff, particularly when it feels quite promotional. Facebook knows that, and it's got a 100,000 factor algorithm in place to ensure that the newsfeed is as clients want it. Now, Adam Mosseri is the VP of Product Management on Facebook, and I know F8 has just happened for 2017. This was a fairly little known presentation that he did last year, where he gave quite a lot of insight into the algorithm and into the newsfeed. This is what he said: the goal of newsfeed is to show people stories that matter most to them, whether it's from friends or pages. Our role in newsfeed is to connect people with the stories that matter to them most. So it uses the algorithm to figure out what matters most to me. So if I am engaging with a particular page regularly, I'm going to see far more of that page's content than a page that I've perhaps liked 5 years ago and haven't really done anything with since. The likelihood is I'm never going to see that content again unless they boost to me. So how do we unpack those algorithm factors, and what have other people done to it? Now, over on the left here, you may well have seen this green graphic. And classically, if you search EdgeRank in Google Images or Facebook algorithm, you'll see either this Social Bakers one here or this green one here. Now, I think they're a little bit out of date, really. I particularly dislike this weird kind of Greek symbol that is meant to indicate EdgeRank. It gives this more of a scientific formula than I think it really has. So I've created my own. That's this one here, and we are going to unpack that in the rest of this session. Let's just give you some idea of my credentials for doing this. I spent 3 years doing a master's degree, which pretty much was on Facebook. So did a lot of original research on the algorithm. I devoted 3 years really to looking at these kind of questions. I have tried to read everything that's been published about it, whether that comes from Facebook itself. And to be honest, Facebook's quite secretive about these factors. It'll tell you the big things. So you know, for instance, that it doesn't like stuff that's clickbaity. It doesn't like nowadays fake news. There are various things that it will tell you. And Mosseri was talking about friends and family first and things like that. But there are lots and lots of other things that you need to kind of put 2 and 2 together, do a little bit of investigation on. So I've written a book that unpacks it in a lot of detail. You can get that on Amazon if you would like. And what I'm going to do is just talk through these different factors of the algorithm now. So we first start on the left-hand side, which is news feed visibility. So let's just check we understand what we mean by that. So if you are a page and you have put something out organically on your page, that will hopefully be seen by a good number of your fans. The percentage of your fans that see that, that's called the percentage reach of that particular post. How visible is your post in your fans' newsfeed? And as a user, someone that's got a profile on Facebook, I look through my newsfeed and I will see maybe one post that's an ad, a couple of posts from brand pages, and the rest are likely to be friends and family. It's that sort of mix. If you happen to like a lot of brands and interact with a lot of pages on Facebook, you may see a little bit more that's page related than personal. So that's the thing that we're getting to when we're thinking about algorithm. And really those 100,000 factors fall in my opinion, to these 5 elements. Interest in the page, the performance of the post itself, the performance of the page itself, what type of content it is, and how recent the content is. So we will quickly unpack each of those. Interest in the page first. How much do you love this page? So 1, how recently did you like it? Because that's an indicator to Facebook of you wanting to see stuff about it pretty much now. Have I clicked on a lot of their stuff? Have I read and maybe gone through to their instant articles? Have I liked their stuff? Have I commented on it? Have I shared it? So all of those things are sending indicators to Facebook that you want to see more of that page's stuff. So if you're a brand, if you're a page on Facebook, what can you do to generate interest in your page? Well, produce content that's really, really clicky and sticky and interesting and gets people talking and liking and sharing. What if you're a bit dormant and you know that people aren't really seeing your stuff? Well, create that content and boost it to your fans. And I'm going to just take a tip from something David said in our first set of presentations this morning. He was talking about when you boost, being really, really careful about boosting to the countries and excluding countries that you don't want to see this stuff. He spent a lot of money and ended up with a lot of fans in India and the Philippines that weren't necessarily going to be prime target market for him. So boost posts, boost them appropriately, and generate some interest from your existing fan base if that's gone a little bit stale. And you're then likely to trigger in some organic reach to them later on. So that's interest in the page. Then the performance of the post itself. Now, this is really crucial, particularly nowadays. So when you post the post, that's important. Post at a time when the majority of your audience are going to be online. Now, for a brand like the Digitarati, our folks tend to be online on their morning commute in the morning, so maybe 7:30 through to about 8:45, and then maybe a bit at lunchtime, and then back end of the day, evening commute, maybe being online while they're watching TV and that kind of thing in the evening. So I would suggest that you post then, because what happens in those first few minutes of your post is crucial to Facebook getting quality indicators. If it's instantly getting clicks, maybe it's a link post and it's instantly getting clicks through to your blog post and people are spending time reading it. If it's instantly getting likes, comments and shares, that's sending quality indicators back to Facebook to say, this is a great piece of content. You need to make sure that more of this page's fans see this stuff. So when you post, and the quality of the post itself. Now, don't be afraid of asking questions in your post. Don't be afraid perhaps of getting some of your friends and family to seed a couple of likes and comments. No one wants to be the first person to go put their hands up in a classroom, and it's the same with commenting on a post. So get some engagement rolling with it. And I would suggest, if it's appropriate for your brand, maybe posting something that's a little bit controversial. That'll certainly get some engagement going. And humor is hugely, hugely effective here. So putting something together that's funny, that's cute. This is why cute cat videos do so well. Those kind of things are gonna get performance moving very, very quickly. So they'll boost you up beyond that 12%. Moving to the next thing, past page performance. So Facebook knows whether your page is kind of a bit like tumbleweed or whether every time you post, everyone goes crazy and loves what you do. So don't produce rubbish content that you just put out for the sake of it, because we've got to do a post a day or a post every couple of hours or a post a week. Only post when you've got really, really decent quality. Because Facebook has a sort of cumulative knowledge of how well you've done in the past. What happens if you are a page that's been guilty of that in the past and not done so well? Well, you need to start building up. So stop all the rubbish and start really focusing on quality. I would rather have a couple of really high quality posts than lots of stuff that's like verbal diarrhea. I see a lot of that on Twitter and it's just ridiculous. You know, it's better to have one or two things on Facebook than lots that are terrible. So focus on getting your page performance up. There are other factors as well in relation to the page, like having all of your page information detailed, being in the right category, masses of sort of on-page factors that Facebook likes, 100,000 factors. I can't go into them all. I have detailed quite a lot of them in the book, and I've got an online course actually if you want to have a little bit more about that. Then we look at type of content. Now, this is really fascinating. As you'll probably be aware, Facebook is very into video, particularly live video at the moment. So you'll find that if you're producing live video, that's more likely to get seen than any other content type on Facebook. Now, when they first launched live video, and this is almost always the case with some new feature on Facebook, it gets a temporary algorithmic boost. But Facebook live video is way, way more effective still than anything else. So if you're thinking, shall I do a pre-recorded video? Shall I do a blog post? Shall I just do a status update? Shall I put a photo out, or shall I do a video? Do a live video. It just works all the time. And a little tip as well, something like 80% of people that watch videos on Facebook do so with the sound off. So do your live video and then afterwards caption it up, because people are watching it without any sound on. And if it's just like, look at me, I'm talking, you have no idea what I'm talking about unless there's some captions running across the bottom. So make sure you do that kind of as a post-production thing. It's not difficult to do. We've actually got a little app that we use to do it on. If you want to grab hold of that for free, I'm really happy to send it to you. Just get in touch. So type of content, let me just run through what the different types are. So you've got the plain status update. Now, that survey I was telling you about earlier from LocoWise, they looked at the performance of the different types of content, and I've wrapped that in my research with other studies, and these are reasonably consistent. Status updates with nothing else don't tend to do very well. Live video is going to do particularly well. Photo posts actually are really on the up. They're doing a lot better nowadays than they were a year or two ago. Something like a YouTube link is not considered by Facebook to be video. It's considered to be a link. So do be aware of that. If you haven't got Facebook live video, use natively uploaded video rather than a YouTube link. Not only will you get way more kind of real estate on the screen with a Facebook video than you will with a YouTube one, because they make it really small, because Facebook doesn't like YouTube very much, but you'll be treated better by the algorithm. I've got two other pieces of content that I would recommend you play with. One is an event. Now, we've all seen events on Facebook. We tend to use them for parties and for maybe live music, maybe a conference, that kind of thing. But you should be able to think about events that you can use for your brand, for your page, even if you haven't got a physical event people are going to. I don't know, a countdown to a launch, something like that. Facebook really likes events. Its algorithm likes events. I'd suggest you use them. Not only do you get a little bit of reach when you particularly first launch the event, but any changes that you make to the event page, anyone that's expressed an interest in that event will see that on their timeline, almost guaranteed. And if you pop a photo into the event or change something on there, it's going to just resurface again. And if they've said they're going to the event, they'll get reminders from Facebook as well about it. So I call that kind of a Cinderella type of content. Very, very underused. It's also quite novel, so people see it and drawn to attention by it. The other type that's a little like that is Facebook offers, hugely underutilized and very much worthwhile you having a look at. With both of these types, you can boost them, and that's where budget will really take you quite a long way. And it's just novel. And again, you don't necessarily need to have something to sell in order to make an offer. You could make an offer for a freebie that you're giving away, like a lead magnet, that kind of thing. Lots and lots of creativity that you can have with offers and events. So do take a look at those. Finally, we're going to look at recency. Now, you're more likely to see something on your newsfeed if it's a fairly recent update. Facebook wants to be the purveyor of news. That's why it's called the news feed. So it's wanting to be the place where people discover, for instance, if JFK died today, Facebook is where you'd find out about it rather than in the newspaper or on the TV. So it's going to be pushing content that's very, very recent. There's a lag. You've got a window really of maybe 2 hours or so before your content's almost guaranteed to drop out of newsfeed unless it's extraordinarily sticky and lots of people are seeing it. There is a thing called story bump where Facebook perhaps a day or two later will discover that your content is looking good. Maybe, I mean, I've often gained this by sending a newsletter out with the link to my Facebook piece in it. 2 days later, after it was first done, people start clicking on it through from the newsletter or the email, and Facebook's going, oh, hang on, look, people are finding this is important. So it story bumps it up again into the newsfeed. Lots and lots within each of those, but they really are the key areas of the algorithm. I don't want to push this too heavily, but that's the book, and there's a course if you have more questions, and you're very, very welcome to jump over onto our site and on our Facebook group if you have any questions, or just message me. That would be fine. A little giveaway for you here. This is the ultimate guide to Facebook marketing, top 10 things that you must do right now. So do jump across if you'd like to have a copy of that. Alex, I don't know if you're going to run questions at the end of this. Oh, right. Oh, that's frustrating. Right, let's go back. Let's just jump to it. Can you see it now? Good stuff. Sorry, I don't want to be overly pushy here, but there are some useful tips in there for you guys.
Yes.
Awesome. So,
Ready, of course.
yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, Alexandra. Nice to see you. It's a great event. Thank you for the invite. I'm right now in Spain. I'm in a conference. Right now, we have our SEMrush room here, but we have time for this, of course.
Is it the Expo?
Yes, it's
Expo, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, so we have Fernando that is streaming from a special SEMrush room from Expo, and let me introduce you, and then we are going just jump to your slides. Fernando is responsible for international partnerships at SEMrush, and he is also one of the most influential specialists in web position, search engine marketing, and lead generation. By the way, Fernando, which is you have a couple of areas. Which one is your favorite?
I don't know, the first one.
Okay, awesome. So, and he has his personal preferences on lead generation, and so he's going to talk today about top 10 tools to improve your SMM performance in 2017, so in this year. So Fernando, could you please share your slides?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a
Thank
second.
you.
You cannot start screen share while the other. Oh yes, Mary, can you please? Oh, thank you a lot. Right now, I think I can. Yes, that's perfect. I think you're seeing my screen right now.
Yeah, I see it.
Perfect. So let me start. Well, today I want to talk about top 10 tools to improve your SMM performance in 2017. But I want to be honest, for the very beginning, these tools are paid. So you need a budget for these tools. Of course, if you want to improve your SMM performance to a certain level, you can do it using some free tools that they're out there in the market. But if you want to go like a pro, you want to have better results, and your company is growing, you need to have a budget to have the most detailed, the most pro tools that I well, today I want to show you those tools. So let's start. Well, my name is Fernando Angulo. I'm the head of international partnership at SEMrush. I'm also doing a lot of marketing campaigns. And also using, I'm using a lot of tools. I'm a tool lover. I know that Alexandra, that Mary, that Lucas are tool lovers. So I want to give you some new tools. I think just be honest at the end. There is some new tools for you. I would like to ask you at the end. So I want to show you a categorization on the tools that I want to talk about today. I want to show you tools that generate reports that can help you on listening to your users, that can create you great landscape on competitive analysis, that can help you optimizing your campaigns, and that can actually show you the ROI of your campaigns. It can show you where is the attribution, the channel attribution, that can help you use omni-channels, and that can show you real-time analytics. So these are the categories of those tools that I want to show you today. They are not going to be a lot, they're just 10, because I can show you like, I don't know, hundreds of tools. There's a lot of tools out there, but the ones that I chose for today are I'm using not in a daily basis, but I'm using like in a weekly basis for monthly reports, in after events. Well, and actually the first one that I want to talk today is it remind me that social media workflow, social media process is huge. It became more complicated. And the last objective, if you are working in a company, is to generate more sales. Of course, it's starting from brand awareness, starting from optimization. But the main goal for a company, as I told you at the beginning, is to increment more sales. Well, so what tools do we need in order to achieve our goals from the beginning? So from our categorization, let me talk to you about 10 of them. The first one is going to be reporting tools. Let me show you one tool that I certainly love for the past, I don't know, maybe 5 years. They're getting better and better every time. But this year, they just, I don't know, I fell in love with them. These guys from Rival IQ, they have the fastest and beautiful reports that I ever seen. Rival IQ, they can create you single report on multiple platforms. I mean, from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus, YouTube, everything. The quality of the reports, the quality of their data is very high. They have very deeply analytics on everything. So this is going to be even my top #1 tool for reporting. They of course have a lot of other features, but especially this feature from Rival 2, that's the one I used for the last 5 years, and this year they're even better. Other tool is Tailwind. So if you want to have deeply analysis on data that you can get from Pinterest and Instagram, if you are working, of course, with e-commerce, this tool is for you. You can have here deeply analysis on all these two platforms on all aspects: users, followers, pins, repins. You can see also likes from Instagram. You can see also the time when you need to post, and you can also have beautiful reports that can show you also the ROI from the campaigns that you're launching on both platforms, Pinterest and Instagram. Tailwind is also a great tool for measuring competitors in both platforms. Well, Rival IQ, Tailwind for reporting, they're just great, and you need to check them. Listening tools. Here, I want to give you 2 tools. The first one is actually both tools are from Spanish developers. they are working for United States and for Europe. They are just great. First one is Metricool. I personally know the founders. They are great friends. They are the founders and developers. There are only two people working on developing this tool. Metricool is an analyzer, a Twitter analyzer that can help you to understand how relevant you are in an online event like this, how relevant you are on social media, who are your influencers, who are your advocates, your ambassadors on a daily basis. So you can have this, you can have here a lot of great insights, a lot of information that you can see with only a few clicks. So just check it out. The other tool is pretty much similar, but it's just great. It's also from Spain. They are working for the whole globe. The name is Tweetbinder. So in every online event, in every Twitter chat, in every kind of activity that we have on Twitter, we are constantly using Tweetbinder Dex, Tweetbinder reports, to understand who are the more active users, from where are those people, who are their influencers, how they are engaging their audiences. So we have a lot of information here. This is all about Twitter, and of course they have API capability. You can have all the information that they gather from the last 6 months of history. So please, you need to try it. They have a free version as also Metricool. Well, there are for now 4 tools. Let's go to the 5th one, competitive analysis. Of course, if we're talking about competitive analysis, we need to talk about SEMrush, and we need to talk about competitors. And we have developed a great social media tool. That's the name, and you just need to enter your competitor's domain, and voila, you have all the information that you need from social media platforms about your competitor. You can include at least, here you can see 10, but we have upload that information to 20 competitors, so you can have all the information and compare everything of that with yours, with your platform. So ROI. This kind of interesting information here, because in every social platform, in every social channel, you have followers, you have fans, and also you're having a lot of activities. But how you can measure the return on investment from those particular platforms? And if we want to go more deeper, how we can measure the return on investment of a single post? So there are a few tools out there, but there exists. The first one, and let me show you, is simply great. The name is Octopost. Octopost is created for B2B social media managers, for companies. Well, this platform allows you to can show you the ROI of social media and tracking leads, but that post that you just created. So as you can see here, the funnel, you have created 611 posts, and you can see how it goes down, how many conversions you have, and of course you need to enter some additional information in order to see some results, the conversion in the way you want to set up it. I have a second tool here. The name is RJ Metrics. RJ Metrics is huge. This is some very serious information relating return on investment by channel. As you can see here on my screen, Facebook, Google AdWords, Google Display, not only social media platforms, but also those channels that can that you are investing, that you are building campaigns, spending your budget. So here you can see with RGI metrics, you can measure the ROI by channel, and also you can set up KPIs for every channel. And of course, you can set up alarms, you can set up anything you want by timing, by quarters, as you desire. So great tools for measuring return on investment from social media. Omnichannel. Of course, you have a lot of channels, you have a lot of devices, you have a lot of information out there regarding to your services or to your products. How you can measure this, how you can control all of those channels, how you can have all the information in one single place. Here you have SciFi. SciFi is something like, if you are related to big data, if you love dashboards, if you lot of information just in one place, you can access SciFi and create your own dashboard. Maybe if you are using Tableau at least, you can also create your dashboard here on all the information that you want about your channels, and also about your competitors as well, if you have that information from tools like SEMrush, like SimilarWeb, or like Searchmetrics, for example. Well, I think we have 8 tools by now. Let me show you something very interesting here, integrated analytics. So you can have here everything in one single dashboard. This is pretty serious tool. This is my favorite, I think, from the last month. The name is Track Maven. As you can see here in my GIF, you can start creating a campaign. You can have the access for every social platform that you have, and you can also integrate that with all the information that you have in your own service in your company. So this tool is beautiful. If you want to track everything, every single channel that you have there, please try Track Maven. They have a lot of products, a lot of prices. Maybe one of them can fit your budget. Well, at the end, if you want to see some real-time analytics, and I think this is the last tool that I want to show you today. I really enjoyed using TweetDeck. These tools that I showed you today, they're not new, but they are incrementing their potential as our company, SEMrush in our case, is growing. TweetDeck is a great platform for creating decks for your needs. As you can see here in my example, this is a deck from a journalist. The question here is how many information I can acquire from Twitter. So you can see here 25 decks with all the information about every country that this journalist wants to follow up. So this is a great tool. You need to have this if you want to increase your performance in 2017. Well, and that's it. Thank you all. I hope you found new tools here today.
And thank you very much for your presentation. It was just, I really love the tool that you've shared, and I want to really try a couple of those tools. So thank you very much. Do you personally?
I know you want to play with them.
Do you use Track Maven a lot?
Actually, as I say during my presentation, I started using them the last month, and well, there's a lot of time to spend there, but like an hour per day, that's the way I'm using it right now.
Okay, so
that's a lot.
Okay, I believe, so can I ask you to move your camera a little bit, so because we see right now the half of your face. Oh, awesome, thank you.
Okay.
I believe we have time for a couple of questions. Mary, are you still with us? I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I was just finding the unmute button. I'm here, yes.
Okay, awesome. Just hold on, give me 1 second, because I'm trying to find control button. Just hold on. So, meanwhile, Fernando, I have a question to you, because you've covered a lot of different tools. So what metrics do you recommend just, to use when you are working with this, when you're trying to evaluate content's performance? Oh, I'm sorry, social media performance. I'm sorry, that was our previous section. I'm sorry.
Yes, this is the for this section.
So yeah, do you want me to spell one more time my question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. So what metrics do you recommend to use when you are trying to evaluate your social media performance?
Well, actually, the metrics that we're using right now are the ones that give us how do I say this, return on investment, well, money. That's our first KPI. All the other things like engagement rate, well, they are also good. At the final stage, the thing that we want to have is money.
Alex, you're on mute, so I can see you trying to talk.
About Facebook. So how much do you think inactive users they're affecting visibility and engagement rates on Facebook? If you, for instance, if you have a lot of inactive users on a particular page, and
sorry, I'm not catching the word you're using there.
It's like, the question is, how much does inactive users affect your visibility and engagement rates on Facebook?
How much does what? Nexif users?
Not active users.
Very well.
Those that are not active. Not like, engaging actively with your content, not liking it, not just, yeah.
Do you mean like dormant fans?
Dormant,
yeah?
You're right. I'm sorry for confusing you.
Okay, let me answer it a slightly different way. If you're a page that has bought fans in the past, or you've got lots of fans that are from countries that are perhaps, not such high quality, it's not going to be great, is it? Because you want a percentage of your fans that are target market for you. I don't think they're going to harm you particularly, apart from the fact that your metrics will look a bit shockingly bad. So I liked what Fernando was saying about really measuring return on investment rather than just focusing on reach and just focusing on engagement. And I would say that you need to focus on reaching those people that you want to reach, and the engagement, the percentage engagement of those people that have actually seen your content. Hello, Dawn.
Hi.
Basically, yeah, because I've noticed that sometimes it's like, it's really affecting the visibility of posts as well, because you are not reaching enough users, because the number of users that are interacting with your content, it's not even particularly liking or commenting, it might be also viewing it, because you might have inactive users, or what I mean by dormant users here are that those that are not even logging into Facebook. So those that are...
I mean, if you're thinking you're getting too many people from, say, countries that you don't particularly want to target, you can restrict the targeting on any or all of your posts to just countries or particularly geographic areas that you want to target. So I'm running pages that have target markets in North America and in English-speaking countries, and they're the ones that buy from us rather than others. So I will often put posts out that just very much limit the targeting to those countries. I'd far rather Facebook was just showing it to proper target markets than anyone and everyone. So yeah, it can affect. And there are times when I've advised clients to just scrap a page and start again because they have such a high proportion of kind of poor quality fans.
I see. But by the way, have you found a good strategy to create a particular group of users by their interests, for instance, and targeting them not only by region but also by interest?
I'd certainly be using that in when I'm creating ads or boosting posts. Yeah, potentially targeting by interest and using Facebook's thing for that. But I quite like using lookalike audiences and maybe overlays. You can use detailed targeting now, whereby you're targeting people that like this and exhibit this behavior or like that as well, or are also on a mailing list or whatever. So I think one of your previous speakers was talking about having wasted an awful lot of money previously with Facebook advertising, just saying to Facebook, oh, just send it out to everyone, boost it to everyone, and it's not the way to go.
Okay, I see. But here is the last one question. I believe I'll pick it from our audience and on.
Okay, well, if I'm looking at Facebook, I will look at percentage reach of fan base. And you can't even see that in the front end of your Facebook Insights. You need to do a page post export. You need to remove the viral reach that you're getting and seeing what sort of a percentage of actual fan base you're getting to. Because, if a company is investing lots of staff time, lots of money in putting posts together, and you're only maybe getting to 5% of your fan base, you may well be better to move some budget into boosting to maybe your existing fans or to some others by interest or whatever. So first of all, reach, and I would then look at measures such as engagement. So whether they're clicking on stuff, whether they're watching videos, whether they're watching to the end of a video, whether they're commenting, whether they're sharing. Those would be my sort of base metrics. If I'm trying to sell a product through a Facebook ad, it's all about whether they're converting at the end of the funnel.
So do you think that, talking about reach, because sometimes I've noticed that I see a page that might have a really good reach, but they don't have enough comments and social just engagement. Social reactions, I would say, like laughs, whatever it is we have right now. So I mean, like for a new user, that is like for me, I consider whether I want to become a fan of this page. It looks pretty not an interesting page because no one reacts on their posts. So how do you do you recommend keep a balance here? Because sometimes I see that some posts, they're reaching wider audience but not reaching enough social interactions. So for a newly for a user that might consider to join, it might be a signal not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working with a client at the moment and we've got a new ad campaign running, and they've not done anything on Facebook before, and one of the advices we've given them is to get some engagement happening on all of their posts on the page and to ramp up their fan numbers just so that metric looks good. It's a vanity metric. I don't really care how many fans they've got on there, but you're right, someone's looking at their page and saying, hang on, why have they only got a dozen Facebook fans? Or why if this article is so inspiring, why has no one liked it? So yes, I think no bad thing to artificially inflate that by getting friends and family to do it. Just a word of advice though, if you are an admin on the page, just watch when you like something like that you're liking as yourself rather than the page, because it looks a bit naff for the page to be liking its own content.
Well, actually, I was talking to one of my employees. She was constantly liking Digital Olympus posts. I was like, that's insane, actually. And she told me, who cares about that? I was like, no, that's insane.
It's important. It looks desperate, doesn't it?
Yeah, desperate, and also like, oh, look how good I am. So it's just something like that. I think people, well, actually, I'm not sure how it's just, because I mostly work with digital marketing audience. Even like my clients, they are mostly from digital marketing niche. So I'm not sure how it works for other audiences, but for digital marketing, I would
do you want to just mute yourself?
I'll do that. Hold on.
Good stuff.
Okay. Thank you. So I think it's like, for digital marketing, that really points out that you're totally desperate, but might be for other, like, not so kind of people that are aware about that, it might be not looking so great. Mm-hmm. By the way, about boosting posts, still we have just 1-2 minutes. I have a question. Because I've noted that different people, they just give different recommendations. So I heard, for instance, when I was attending Inbound conference, I was listening to Larry Kim presentation, and he was. His recommendation was to boost posts for $10, but if you just starting to do that and trying, but what will be your advice here?
I don't think you necessarily need to spend a lot of money to get a lot more traction by boosting. Yeah, $5-10. It depends obviously on the size of the audience you're trying to reach. So if you're trying to reach a few hundred people, it's a few pounds, euros, dollars. If you're trying to reach 100,000 people, you need to spend a little bit more. What I would suggest is that you let it have a little bit of organic traction first, a few hours, maybe 24 hours max, then put some boost money on. Maybe start with a very little amount of boost, make sure that's targeted to the list or the interest or your fans in particular countries. See the reaction you're getting with that, and if you want to then add some more money to it, you can.
And what do you think, Fernando? Thank you for joining us one more time.
Yes, I ran out of battery, so
no worries.
Again, sorry.
So what will be your advice?
No, I didn't hear the question from the beginning.
Okay, sorry. So what will be your advice when it comes to starting experimenting with that on Facebook or might be on Twitter? What will be the minimum budget that you recommend to start with?
Well, actually, when I started my Facebook ads, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that, I started using only $1 per day and just experimenting, trying to